Aita set up camera suspecting someone was going into my bedroom and financial stress, gave them 60 days notice. My roommate had their long-distance partner move in a couple months ago, which I had agreed to, but we both agreed if it wasn't a vibe that it wouldn't be a long-term arrangement, as I did not know him at all personally. Within the first week of living with us he brought over a guest that subsequently stole my tote bag to borrow for the night. He dumped out all my possessions onto the couch. The bag did end up getting returned. Left a sour taste in my mouth, but I tried to let it slide. He's unemployed and around all the time, fine whatever. Except that he's constantly cooking, there's no room in the fridge for my food. And he's putting my roommate under financial strain. I had only really agreed to let him move in to help with rent, decrease my rent share. But it quickly has become untenable and I'm not getting that financial relief. On May 31st my OG roommate is texting me she might be late on rent, waiting on a cash deposit and check to clear. I'm not pumped. But she says initially she's $45 short. Then she tells me she can only send $395 that night, less than a third of rent. Her mom sends me the remainder on the 1st. So rent is not technically late. But I don't want to deal with that stress. And her partner, again no income, is flaunting large purchases on his Instagram later that day. I've heard fights about money. I think she might be in a financially abusive relationship. And within 2 months it's already affecting me. Gives me the ick. Anyways. I had been getting the sense somebody had been going into my room. Ignored it for a while. Until I come home to undeniable evidence. In my mind, my ring basket had been knocked over into my makeup container on my vanity and reset. It's in front of my change jar so I think someone stole petty cash. It's put back upright so it can't have been one of the cats. It's possible, I suppose, I knocked it over but I have no recollection of that. I have a spare security camera from my business. So I pop it on my shelf to watch my door. The first time I leave my house for any extended period of time, he's in my room within 20 minutes, closing my window, I guess innocuous enough, except my door was closed and the cats weren't in there so there was no reason to, and I'm pretty sure he was actually just bailing out on what he was going to do having clocked the camera. He subsequently comes into my room 2 more times to close my window and repeatedly opens and closes my door without entering. My OG roommate has gone into my room before. But she has always told me when she had. I hear nothing from her partner about it. So maybe he thought it was okay. I asked my roommate to grab a beer. I tell her partnership and finances are none of my business until she made them my business. And that the texts about her figuring out how to get rent stress me out, and from an outside perspective she's in a financially abusive relationship that I'm getting dragged into with that. She gives me a weird sob story that she was only texting me because she always pays rent early, and how was she supposed to know that rent was only due by end of day on the 1st. I kinda just say that is how it always works anywhere, and that's in the roommate agreement she signed anyways. I move on to the room entry. She asks if I have videos of him moving stuff. I say no, but I was on edge enough to put up a camera, and the first time I left the house since putting it up someone went into my room multiple times without my knowledge, and that in of itself is not okay with me. I move on to normal roommate stuff, no room in the fridge and personal belongings everywhere in the common areas etc. etc. At this point I'm not kicking them out, just setting boundaries. She ends up saying if he is leaving that she would be as well, and they had been thinking about moving anyways. I say that's fair, and ask her if she wants to consider it 60 days notice from the 1st. She agrees and is teary about it. I think she wanted more time, but also didn't give me a timeline. TLDR, roommate's partner violating my privacy and couple floundering to find rent. Say they want to move out, I give 60 days notice to them. Aita for being as mad as I am about the room entry and stressful rent texts as I am. Why I feel like an asshole. I know they don't have money to move. I don't actually have evidence he stole from me, just a hunch, which I feel like was confirmed by repeated entry into my room. Rent wasn't actually late in the end, but the texts that it might be stressed me out. Stories number 2. Aita for not backing my husband when my stepdaughter started pulling away after he punished her. I, mid-30s, have been married to my husband, 40s, for about 4 years now. His daughter, Danny, 15, lives with us most of the time. I came into her life when she was around 9, and we've always had a good relationship. She's a great kid, smart, funny, a little dramatic sometimes, but generally kind and emotionally aware for her age. He was her safe person through a messy divorce and always made sure she knew she was loved. Their bond has always been more best buds than the typical strict parent thing. Recently, Danny got in trouble at school over some texts about another girl in her group chat with her friends. Mostly dumb teenage stuff, but a few of the things Danny said about this particular girl were pretty mean. Not slurs or threats or anything awful like that, but a couple of personal jabs since she didn't particularly like her. How it got out, one of the girls in the group chat had a falling out with the others and screenshotted everything. She sent the screenshots to the girl they'd been talking about, who brought them to a teacher. The school ended up calling a meeting with parents, including my husband. The school took it seriously but handled it well, in my opinion. Danny owned up to what she said and apologized. Like, a real apology, not a forced one. The girl actually accepted it, which I think says a lot. At home, though, things took a turn. My husband reacted very differently than I expected. He didn't yell or lose his temper. Instead, he shut down emotionally. He took her phone outside of school use, grounded her for 2 weeks, and gave her extra chores with a big lecture about how being that girl, the mean one, sticks with you, how people remember what you do, how damage can't be undone. But what stood out wasn't the consequences. It was how he did it. It was like a switch flipped. He became cold, formal. Every interaction with her was short, distant, and transactional. No softness, no patience, no sense of connection. It was almost like he couldn't bring himself to look at her the same way. And now, 2 weeks later, that's exactly how she treats him. Polite, obedient, but emotionally closed off. She answers questions, follows rules, says thanks and okay and nothing else. The affection's gone, their usual dynamic is gone. With me, she's still her usual self. She talks, she jokes, she decompresses, runs up to get her hug before I leave in the morning. And my husband has noticed. He asked me if I'd talk to her, help smooth things over, explain where he was coming from. I told him I think she already gets where he was coming from, but I also think she felt hurt a bit and she's allowed to feel that way. I said that you can't expect a kid to act like nothing happened when their entire sense of safety in a relationship gets rattled like that. That kind of shift in tone from being your safe person to being so harsh and cold does something to a kid, especially one who's not used to it. He didn't take it well. He said I was minimizing what she did, and that if anyone in the house deserved hurt feelings, it wasn't Danny. I pushed back and said I wasn't going to push her to pretend she's not feeling what she's feeling just to make him more comfortable. That's when things escalated. He said I was choosing her over him. I said I wasn't choosing anyone, I just wasn't willing to pretend this didn't change things. He said he was trying to keep her from turning into the kind of person who destroys other people's self-worth and walks away. He told me if I couldn't be on the same page with him as a parent, then maybe I needed space to go figure out where I stood. So I left. I'm at my sister's place right now, and she, of course, sides with him. Says it's good he's not trying to be the cool dad, that it's better to overreact now than regret not doing enough later. I don't disagree entirely. I just think there's a way to teach a kid something serious without making them feel like they're suddenly a stranger to you, so here I am. I didn't back him up when he asked me to. I told him the truth instead. I didn't think that made me the bad guy, but now I'm not so sure. Comments. Commenter 1. Sounds like dad got bullied as a kid and he needs to have a vulnerable talk with his daughter about the feelings her actions brought up in him. And then apologize that trauma impacted how he dealt with this. Commenter 2. This was my first thought, dad got triggered by personal trauma, and suddenly his own kid became the enemy. I'd talk to him and try to figure out what happened to him at that age, and get him to tell that story to his daughter, hopefully then she'll realize where his behavior was coming from. And get him to actually tell her that he loves her, no matter what, and will always love her, and that his behavior was due to his own personal trauma, and had only peripherally to do with her. Commenter 3. She's at the perfect age to realize parents are humans too, they make mistakes, have history that goes back further than they do, etc. It could actually drive this lesson home really well if done the right way. Update. It's been a bit since I last posted, and a couple things have changed so I figured I'd give an update. I've seen a lot of perspectives that help me think through how everyone, my husband, Danny, even myself may have gotten tangled up in our own emotions while trying to do what we thought was right. So thank you. After I cooled off and came back home, I told my husband we needed to talk, not just about Danny, but about why he reacted the way he did. I think deep down I already knew it wasn't just about her behavior at school. He finally opened up and admitted that the whole thing hit a raw nerve for him. When he was Danny's age, he was on the receiving end of some pretty cruel bullying, stuff that stuck with him for years. He said seeing Danny even dabble in that kind of behavior scared him. It wasn't about control, it was about fear. Fear that she becomes someone who could inflict the kind of pain he still carries. That fear made him pull back from her instead of leaning in, and it came out in this cold, distant way that hurt them both. I encouraged him to talk to Danny about it, not to justify what happened, but to explain it and take accountability. And he did. It wasn't some big emotional movie moment, but it was honest. He told her about what he went through, how ashamed he felt that he let his fear come between them, and that her behavior reminded him of people who had hurt him, but that didn't mean she was like them. She listened the whole time, really listened. And she surprised both of us. She didn't get teary or run into his arms or anything. But she did say that she got it. That she's actually been thinking a lot about why what she said mattered, and that the only reason she could reflect on it properly was because she didn't shut down emotionally afterward. She said she felt like she'd lost him for a while, and now that she knows why, she's trying to meet him halfway, but she's still cautious. She's being respectful, warmish, but not back to their old dynamic. Not yet, maybe not ever in the same way. But it's something. Funny enough, the girl Danny said those things about. They've been hanging out. Not besties, but weirdly, this mess kind of forced a level of honesty between them that ended up creating mutual understanding. The girl told Danny she was really hurt at first, because she thought Danny meant for her to see those messages. But once they had a real conversation, she realized that wasn't the case. She admitted she was more mad at the girl who leaked the texts, her friend who sent the screenshots around after a falling out. She told Danny she now gets that the stuff said in the chat wasn't meant to be public or malicious, just venting between teens. She even said she said worse things herself in private about people she was frustrated with. It didn't excuse it, but it helped her put it in perspective, and she let it go. As for therapy, I brought it up. I told my husband that maybe this would be a good opportunity for all of us to work on our dynamics, maybe family therapy, or even just individual support to unpack some of the emotional baggage that clearly still weighs heavy. He's open to family therapy, but absolutely shut down the idea of individual counseling for himself. Danny's kind of on the fence. She says she doesn't hate the idea, but she doesn't feel like she needs it either. Things aren't magically fixed, but we're in a more honest place now. Danny's been handling this whole situation with more maturity than I expected. My husband and I are still figuring out what parenting together means when we come at things from different emotional angles. I still stand by what I said in the original post. Kids don't just bounce back from emotional shifts, and pretending nothing happened doesn't help anyone. But I'm glad we didn't just leave things frozen there. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to give their opinions. Comments. Commenter 1. Wow, that's an incredible update. Sounds like you guys are raising an incredible human being who is able to self-reflect, which is unusual for anyone at any age, let alone a teenager. I'm glad your husband was able to open up and acknowledge that this brought back all the painful memories. It also sounds like knowing this you will all be communicating better in the future. I think even if the rest of the family doesn't want to participate in therapy, you should definitely go for it yourself. It never hurts to have an outside opinion. Commenter 2. Deadass, this update gave me chills. Like, we barely see teens this emotionally fluent, and she's handling it better than most adults fr. Stories number 3. My 50M daughter, 24F, just moved back in after an abusive relationship and she's been wanting to be uncomfortably close to me, so I will try and keep this brief. My daughter met a man I didn't really care for 3 years ago, right about when COVID was starting. He wanted her to move in with him quickly and I could tell he was love bombing her. I was worried about how fast things were moving between them. She called me up after she moved and saying that she had to respect her relationship and that she needed to cut out anyone who wasn't supportive. I told her I didn't like where this was headed. The love bombing, moving in so quickly, now being isolated from her family. I told her these were warning signs, but she told me she was in love, etc. I told her if this was her choice then so be it, but I would always love her, my door would always be open, and if she ever needed anything, or needed help I'd be there for her. I didn't hear from her again for a couple of years. Well, I got a call from her a few weeks ago. She was crying. She said I was right about him all along, things had gotten progressively worse and now he had hit her for the first time and that was her boundary. She asked me if my offer to help her was still on the table. I told her of course it was. I love her and would do anything for her. So as soon as we got the chance, I went over there, helped her pack up while he was gone and moved her back into my house. You guys, I wanted to cry when I first heard on the phone, she sounded so desperate. It was even worse when I saw her, she was emaciated, she had bruises, she was a shell of her former self. It breaks my heart to see how badly beaten down she's been. So here is where things start to get, well, awkward. About a week ago she came into my bedroom at night in her pajamas and said she had been having trouble sleeping. She wanted to sleep in my bed, with me, which I thought was odd. I said it was a bit odd, but she begged me and said it would make her feel safe. She used to sleep in our bed when her mother was still alive, and she was a little girl and had bad dreams, but that ended a long time ago. I figured whatever she had been through was enough though, and I wasn't about to interrogate her or make her feel ashamed. I wanted her to feel safe and so I agreed. She cuddled up with me and we slept. This has now become a habit with her. She's not slept in her own bed since and is asking me to cuddle with her or spoon her while she is sleeping in my bed with me. I really don't know what to make of this. She says it makes her feel safe. I'm not sure this is appropriate though. But at the same time she's been through enough already and I want her to feel safe and secure. Is this something you think she will move past once she recovers a bit? Should I tell her I think it's inappropriate? Edit. We have a therapist appointment booked. I figured she was going to need one but the therapist we found didn't have an immediate opening. Edit. I've heard from so many women who have been through similar ordeals but didn't have supportive parents to help them. I just want to say to you all I'm sorry that happened. None of it was your fault, you didn't deserve it, what you did deserve was to have a dad in your corner willing to tap into the match for you. It breaks my heart so many of you didn't have that. Editor's note, OOP posts the same thing in the Daddit subreddit but adds this edit. Edit. I probably should have included this in the original post. I asked her about filing a police report when I first picked her up. She didn't think she could handle talking to the police. I took her to a walk-in clinic since she had bruising on her face, and she was thin. I wanted to make sure she had no head traumas and to see if she would need to be admitted to the hospital to get her back up to weight. She wasn't underweight enough to require hospitalization, she didn't want to be checked into a hospital, she just wanted to go home. Doc gave me some advice on safely getting her weight back up and we did take pictures of the bruising on her face and neck and get a medical report that documents it. Sum of comments. Top commenter. It sounds like she is very broken and reverting to childhood comforting. She needs a therapist to help her. She was severely abused for 3 years and it's not going to be undone in 2 weeks or even 2 months. She needs professional help. If the cuddling makes you uncomfortable, for sure talk to her, gently. She is just seeking comfort and it's still scared he's going to come for her. She knows daddy will protect her. Reply, I will protect her. I told her from the get-go she could always come to me. I'll always be on her side. We do have a therapist booked but they didn't have an immediate opening. Commenter, I'm glad she left the situation and is safe. Her coping mechanisms are what they are. They only make sense to her but yes, it is crossing a line a bit. If you can, pick up a pregnancy body pillow shaped like a U and a weighted blankets. This can help with anxiety by feeling snuggled and protected without an actual person present. Reply, weighted blanket and body pillow is a good idea. Commenter, you are allowed to have boundaries, your comfort matters too. Buy her a body pillow and some weighted blankets. She needs to be sleeping in her own room going forward. Reply, honestly right now my needs are secondary to hers. At least until she's in a better place. Commenter, God bless you, you are a wonderful father and I wish I had a father like you in my life. You are saving your daughter. And your wife, from heaven above, would be proud of you. You are the savior in your daughter's life. Whatever you are doing, is helping her feel safe, and will help her recover from such a traumatic experience. Reply, thank you. I love my daughter unconditionally. I will always have her back. I will always pull her up when she falls down. I hope my wife is proud. My wife fought so hard to stay alive and stay with us. I know she would have fought just as hard for our daughter now as she did to stay with us. Commenter, I wish everybody could read this post. This is how you parent. However much we wish we could make choices and decisions for our children, and however old they are still our children, we have to step back and let them make their own mistakes. All we can do is be there for them when things go wrong. And OP, you are doing that in spades. I applaud you. Reply, I just felt something was really off about him. My daughter just thought I was being that dad who never thinks anyone is ever good enough for his little girl. Next to her mom dying, letting her go was the hardest thing I've ever done. Those 2 years worrying about her were murder. I knew things weren't going great because her best friend kept in touch with me and let me know how things were going before she too was cut off. Update post. Okay, so I got some great advice, and I figured I would give everyone an update and clarify a few things because it will come into play. I know I said this in the comments, but I will reiterate here. When I picked her up I saw that she was underweight and had bruises on her face and neck. Clearly strangulation marks on her neck and she had been punched in the face. I immediately took her to a walk-in clinic. I wanted her checked for head trauma, I wanted to make sure she was okay, no broken bones or head traumas etc. I wanted DR's advice on getting her back up to a healthy weight, which foods to eat, which to avoid refeeding syndrome etc. The DR told me her BMI was 15. Not good but not requiring immediate hospitalizations or anything that would be 12 and under. I also wanted all of her injuries documented. I also got pictures. The DR gave me advice on how best to get her up to weight without her feeling sick. I asked my daughter if she wanted to file a police report and press charges. I wanted this, she did not. I didn't push it but I kept the medical records from the DRS visit. I got her home and for the first week I was careful about what I was feeding her and how much so we could get her healthy again without making her sick. I feel bad about it now because after I put my original post up my daughter opened up to me about what he did and put her through. One of the things he would do is watch what she was eating and how much. He would constantly warn her about getting fat and not being attractive anymore, and now feel a bit bad because when she got home, I too was monitoring what she was eating at first. I know it's for different reasons, but it still makes me feel bad. Anyways, on to the update part of things. She did finally write down everything that he did to her. I took a copy of this and put it with her medical files in case she ever decided to press charges later. I took her to her therapist's appointment, and he recommended what many of you did, a specialist. He had the name of a domestic abuse specialist who was also a woman. We are keeping him on for me and as counseling for the two of us. I try to be a good father, but there were cracks in our relationship he was able to exploit to turn her against me. There were things I did wrong after my wife's death and things we need to address, and also to just get help with helping her recover. She's now seeing a domestic abuse specialist. As for the sleep thing, well, I had a talk with her and the therapist about it, and we came up with a plan utilizing many of the recommendations mentioned on the last thread, and we are all comfortable with the solution we have come up with. I don't want to get too much into what he did to her. That's her story to tell. But he did utilize sleep deprivation. She told me he would make these jokes about how easy it would be for him to kill her in her sleep. He would joke like this all the time and then laugh about it. She repeatedly asked him to stop, but he didn't. I only mention it because people mentioned he might have done things to make her scared to sleep, and well, that was one of them. I don't want to repeat the others. Those are too personal. I took a leave of absence from work so I could be home with her. I prepared my weapons and got a ring cam to monitor the door. He did not give up on her easily. While she had blocked his number and social media profiles, he would repeatedly create false profiles or use burner phones to continue to harass her. At one point I did take the phone from her when he had called her and told him not to show up here or I would, well, you know. That was not enough. About 2 weeks after this post went up, he showed up. I saw him on the ring cam I had installed and called the police to have him removed. I told him from the door to leave, and if he walked inside, it would be the last thing he ever did. Instead, the police came and removed him. But they did little else but get rid of him. Without a protective order or my daughter filing domestic abuse charges, the most they could really do was tell him to get off my lawn basically. This was the wake-up call my daughter needed though. She decided to press charges after he showed up. I retained a lawyer to help us through this. I gave the lawyer the advice I had accumulated, and he spoke to the DA and police and helped have the charges filed, and the restraining order issued. Honestly, I'm not sure what went on there, but people, let me tell you, lawyers are your friend if you need to navigate anything in the legal system, even if you are not a defendant. So that brings us to now. We're moving forward in the legal system now to press charges. We have a protective order. She's recovered more or less physically, but emotionally it's going to be a while. I'm in therapy, she's in therapy, and we're in therapy together. Yes, let's have therapy. She is sleeping in her own bed when she feels up to it, but she still has nightmares and nights where she feels comforted to be close to me. We are comfortable with the arrangements we've made here and have drawn up a plan with her therapist to get her back into her own room and bed. I feel bad about the feeding though. I had monitored her food intake before I knew he had been watching how she ate like that. I also feel like I failed to prepare her for someone like that. To everyone who responded to my first thread, thank you. To most of you. Some of comments. Commenter, something that helped me a lot is when I have night terrors I take Prozasine for my horrific nightmares. I still have them and some doozy ones sometimes, but it dulls it a lot. When these dreams happen it's terrifying and you wake up feeling like someone had a gun to your head. The adrenaline is insane. Help make a routine. Good sleep hygiene, take a warm shower before bed and have tea. Something that also helped is just waking up my partner and having a hug. But definitely talk to a DR about sleep help. Reply, we'll ask her DR about this. Stories number 4. Aita for taking away my dad's girlfriend's keys after she tried to send me to bed. For context, I, 21F, have 4 siblings, 26M, 23M, 12F, and 10M. Our uncle has been our legal guardian since our mom passed and my dad has been out of our lives. My 23 years old brother and I are home for the summer from college. My oldest brother lives in the city. Since we've come home my uncle's been away on a work trip, so it's just been me and my siblings around the house. Further context, my dad used to be a problem drinker and was basically estranged for half of my life, very limited contact, and growing up it's always been my siblings and I taking care of each other. For the past year or so, my dad has been wanting to reconnect with us, mainly my younger siblings. He's been getting better in his habits. He was clean for 3 years and managed to keep his act together. Because of this, we've allowed a couple of visits from time to time. 4 months ago he started seeing someone new, quite a bit younger than him, in her 30s, and she seems to have this strange obsession with playing mom. She visits way more frequently than he does and seems to be under the impression that she's our new stepmom. I think it's kind of weird, but we just let her do her thing since she's not harming anyone. She does have this patronizing way of addressing us. It's better with my oldest brothers, but with me it gets a little ridiculous sometimes. Again, I kinda just ignore it and go about my own business. A few weeks before my brother and I came home, she was helping my uncle pick up our younger siblings from school and driving them home. Because of that, she was given a key to the house. Since then she's around all the time and just playing parent to my younger siblings, but not really doing much because my older brothers and I take care of the responsibilities. In short, the situation started when we had her and my dad over for dinner. My brothers cooked a great meal and it was all going good until my dad ended up making a very insensitive and inappropriate joke during dinner, and she corroborated that joke by making a really ugly insinuation about our late mother. Not gonna get into that. We saw them out and that was that. We put the kids to bed and kinda talked about what happened, and informed our uncle about the situation. We were all unsure of what to do. The next afternoon both my brothers were busy with work and I picked up the kids from school and got home to my dad's girlfriend in our kitchen. This was the first time she's let herself in when nobody was home, and it caught me kinda off guard. She had basically come to apologize on my dad's behalf. She said that he felt so ashamed he couldn't bear coming here. I sent the kids to their rooms and explained the situation to her. I also communicated to her that I found her comment to be extremely inappropriate and in poor taste. She started laughing it off, but I was clear with her that we wouldn't tolerate anything like that again, and then she said something like, "It's so cute that you're trying to be their mom, their adult." I kinda just blinked at her. The remainder of that conversation she had that same attitude, just not taking me seriously and treating me patronizingly. Naturally I got fed up and got started on dinner. Where she went for the next while. I think she went into the kids' rooms to help them with homework, but she stuck around for the rest of the night. Out of the kindness of my heart I cooked extra food for her even though she didn't ask for permission to stay, and lo and behold, she stayed for dinner. Later on in the night she was fawning over the kids again, and around 10, in her stepmom manner she was like, "Okay my dears. It's time for bed." My younger siblings were in the living room watching TV. They're usually pretty disciplined at going to bed themselves. At this, they looked over to me, gave me the look like, "What is this lady doing?" and I just shrugged and they went off to their rooms because it was close to their usual bedtime anyway. Now wait for this. I'm in the kitchen cleaning up. Dad's girlfriend is on her phone at the island. She looks up at me and says, "You too, hon?" It crosses my mind that she could have been joking, but I devise after a moment that this was not a joke and she was in fact sending me to bed. So I say, "What?" She says, "It's getting late, time for bed," and kind of tuts at me. To remind you guys, I am 21 years old. I go to college and am working almost full time in the summer. I've been taking care of my family since I was 12. This woman has been dating my estranged father for barely half a year. So, I give her the benefit of the doubt, that she clearly has some mental issues and is a little crazy. I tell her I think it's time that she went home. She is insistent that I go on to bed, still acting like she's my mom. This gets me a little ticked off. I explain to her that I feel disrespected being talked to like that, and that I'm an adult. And as an extension to our previous conversation, I need her to take me seriously because I don't joke around about my family or my siblings, and she is on thin ice. She continues to laugh me off and goes on in a super patronizing tone again. She uses the phrase, "It's so cute when teenagers try to act like adults," throws in some stuff about me having a hissy fit and being rebellious. At this point I'm just so fed up by everything, I simply say, "You have 5 minutes to get your things and leave this house." In response she scoffs and gets up and walks off to the bathroom, and on the way I hear her say something along the lines of, "No wonder Anatole, Dad, says you're a frigid little priss." When she's in the bathroom, I go over to her handbag and her keys on the couch. She has a gigantic keyring and a ton of keys, so knowing she won't notice, I remove our house key from the ring. Then I go back to my room. I hear her leave maybe 20 minutes later. The next day, I get a bunch of texts from her, panicking about the key. I told her I took it. She said some stuff, called me a brat, saying she was going to tell my uncle and brothers, and I was being childish. I told her I was at work and if she wanted to talk she could call me at 4. Otherwise she could go bother my brothers about it, but they were at work too, so good luck with that. She went off again with the "stop pretending to be an adult" thing and said that my younger siblings were like her kids and she needed to take care of them, and this was unsafe. The last text I sent her was, "This is the last I'll say this. You've been disrespectful of me and my brothers since we met and dismissed my attempts to communicate with you. I'm no longer investing energy into enduring your behavior. I'm going to be honest, there is very little chance that you are going to get that key back. This is not helping those chances. Like I said, 4 p.m., you can call. She yapped some more, then blew up my brother's phones and texted my uncle as well. I'm writing this as this is occurring. I told my brothers a bit about what happened when she came over, but they don't know the full story. My uncle is also in the dark about this. But I'll tell them what happened if I need to. Look, I don't doubt that in her heart she does truly care for my younger siblings. I don't think she's a bad person or anything, plus my uncle trusted her enough to give her entry into his house. She just really pissed me off. Her whole stepmom act is also really facetious to me. I'd have no problem letting her help out around the house if she was respectful and communicated that's what she wanted. Anyways. Aita, gentle update. I had put this in the comments, but for those who didn't see, after Dad's girlfriend's freak out, my uncle called me and said, "What's this she's saying about you stole her keys and kicked her out?" And he was already laughing as he said this, because he knows and trusts me and he knows I'm a level-headed person, and I told him, yeah, she tried to put me to bed and called me a priss, and that cracked him up hard. When I told my brothers too, they were like, "Wow, I'm surprised you didn't knock her out." They both knew she could be a little weird, but never had she been like that. I think it was because it was the first time she and I were alone. She is not coming back to the house, not picking up the kids again, only sees the kids when they hang out with Dad and oldest brother is around. My uncle has full custody of kids. They are safe. There is more nutty stuff going on with her though. We'll have another update prepared soon. It's gonna be very interesting. Stories number 5. I accidentally discovered my elderly neighbor has been stealing small things from my garden, and now I just feel sad. 32F, love my little vegetable garden. It's my hobby, my stress relief. For the past few weeks, I'd noticed a few things going missing, a ripe tomato here, a couple of peppers there. I figured it was squirrels or rabbits, though it seemed oddly specific. Yesterday, I was working from home and happened to look out my window at an odd time. I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Gable, 80SF, a sweet old lady who always waves and gives me cookies at Christmas, very slowly and carefully reach over our low fence, snip off a perfect zucchini, and put it in her little apron pocket. She looked around, then shuffled back to her house. My first reaction was a flash of annoyance, then just confusion. And now, mostly sadness. Mrs. Gable is a widow, lives alone, and I know she's on a fixed income. She's always been so kind. She probably doesn't have much. I haven't said anything to her. What would I say? Stop stealing my zucchini? It feels petty. But it also feels a bit like a small betrayal, even though I know that's dramatic for a few vegetables. I think it's more the realization that someone I thought of as just a nice, harmless neighbor might be struggling enough to feel she needs to sneak food. I'm thinking of just, accidentally, leaving a basket of extra vegetables on her porch with a note saying I had too much. Or maybe I'll just pretend I never saw anything. It's such a small thing, but it's really thrown me off. It's made me look at her, and maybe my other neighbors, a little differently. It's not anger, just this quiet melancholy about it all. Stories number 6. My 27M, fiancé, 29F, was accused by her friend maid of honor, 29F, of stepping out on me. My fiancé claims she's trying to sabotage our relationship. I'm lost and questioning everything. How do I move forward? My 27M, relationship with my fiancé, 29F, has kinda blown up. I never felt this unsure in our relationship. I'm in need of outside perspectives. For context, we're college sweethearts. For orientation I was touring campus, and she was my group's tour guide. That's how we met. She's my first love and best friend. Now we're in the height of wedding planning. About a couple of years ago, we had a rough patch with her shutting down and pushing me away. She wanted to take a break so she could find herself again. I don't believe in breaks. I wanted to work through it together, but her mind was made. So I agreed. We established boundaries for the break. We wouldn't see other people, and we were to have checkups about where we were emotionally. The goal was to reinforce our foundation. The break was only a month. We bounced back stronger, but it's still a sore spot. The break was the most distant we'd ever been, and the experience highlighted why I'm against it. Recently, my fiancé had a bad falling out with a mutual friend maid of honor, 29F, who I'll call Joss for clarity. Some nasty stuff was said, and Joss accused my fiancé of being a bridezilla and an even worse friend. I hoped the rift between them would mend because they were close for a long time. They were like sisters. But my fiancé kicked Joss out of the wedding and uninvited her. The damage seemed to be done for both. The other day, Joss reached out to me and said that my fiancé wasn't being completely truthful. She revealed not only did my fiancé see other guys during the break but also hooked up with someone on their annual girls' trip. She gave the guy's name, but I don't know who he is. On the trip, my fiancé's group linked up with another they clicked with. Joss said it was clear the guy had an eye for my fiancé, and eventually she and he began wandering off. My fiancé ignored Joss's attempts at talking her down. It was a lot to take in. My initial instinct was to shut Joss down. Up until this point, I trusted my fiancé fully, but I couldn't overlook how much Joss's account matched my doubts from back then. Like I said, we were the most distant during our break. It wasn't on my part. There were times she was AWOL on our checkups. During the girls' trip that fell on our break, she went radio silent in a way she wasn't on previous trips. There was truth to linking up with another group because my fiancé told me about it. She's still casually in touch with some of them. Right after the trip, she was gung-ho on calling the break off, how it was a mistake, and that she was in a better headspace. Joss claimed this was part of their falling out. She was pushing my fiancé to come clean with me before the wedding. She felt I deserved to know and wished she would have said something sooner. I didn't say much. I was too numb to really feel anything. I initially didn't confront my fiancé. I was trying to process, but she could tell something was wrong and kept asking. When I did confront her, she was a whirlwind of emotions. She mostly ranted about Joss, but I told her this was her chance to tell her own story. She asked if I'd hear her out. I promised I would. She confessed to seeing other guys during the break but claims nothing happened. She also denies ever hooking up with anyone on the trip. I asked her why Joss would tell the truth about her seeing other guys, which alone thoroughly broke our boundaries, but make up an elaborate lie about her cheating on the trip. She insists Joss is trying to sabotage our relationship. She said the other guys meant nothing and I'm the one she was in love with. It was like she wanted me to be grateful for choosing me. She promised to do anything to regain my trust. She said we're starting our lives together, and I shouldn't let Joss come between us. I wasn't very receptive to her. We fought, and I told her I needed to think. Ever since, she's been pouring on so much affection. She still swears she never hooked up with anyone on the girls' trip and that Joss is trying to sabotage. But I can't shake the possibility that Joss is telling the truth. All of this has blown up while we're in the middle of wedding planning. Invites already delivered, venue booked, catering being arranged, suits, dresses, everything. I feel so numb. I'm in love with my fiancé. She's my best friend. It feels wrong to doubt her, but I'm questioning everything. Even myself. What to believe anymore. I feel like an idiot. How do I move forward for myself and my relationship? TLDR, my fiancé's and my relationship has blown up after she had a bad falling out with her maid of honor who told me not only did my fiancé see other guys while we were on a break, but she also hooked up with someone on their girls' trip. My fiancé confessed to seeing other guys on the break but denies hooking up with anyone. She's accusing her friend of trying to sabotage our relationship. We fought, and I told her I needed space. Ever since, she's been pouring on so much affection. We're in the middle of wedding planning, and now this mess. I'm lost and questioning everything. What to believe anymore. How do I move forward for myself and my relationship? Stories number 7. Thank you to everyone who reached out. It helped give me, 27M, much needed perspective. I wanted to give an update. I wanted a fuller picture before making a decision on anything with my fiancé, 29F. I knew her friends' bridesmaids would be a lost cause. I get along with them, but they're more of my fiancé's friends, and their group runs deep. They weren't going to talk at the expense of my fiancé. I asked Joss, 29F, for more info and for evidence to her claims about my fiancé hooking up with someone on their girls' trip. She said my fiancé avoided talking about that particular trip, especially over text. Most of their arguments were in person, but she showed me texts from shortly after the trip where my fiancé confirmed hooking up with the guy. She texted how it's in her rearview mirror and she doesn't need a lecture about the past. She's focusing on the future. I knew the possibility, and my fiancé already confessed to seeing other guys during our break, but seeing those texts made it real in a way it wasn't before. In the texts, she expressed regret, but it didn't make me feel better. I confronted my fiancé and I knew immediately by the look on her face. She came clean on everything. She thought Joss deleted the texts. Around the break, we were having serious talks about marriage. She started worrying she was missing out on stuff her single friends were engaging in. During the break, she sought validation from other guys and fooled around with that guy on the girls' trip. In her own words, she had a temporary high when he chased her but felt worse about herself post-hookup. She claims the break showed her what was important and that she wasn't missing out on anything. She was reassured we were right for each other. I hardly said anything to her. I mostly just listened. I was too numb for much else. She kept asking me to say something, but what was there for me to say? I felt her actions spoke enough for us both. She kept apologizing for stepping out. When I asked her why she wasn't upfront with me, she said she didn't want to lose me over her biggest mistake. Her position that Joss isn't being noble hasn't changed. I told her Joss's motive doesn't matter, the truth is the truth. She asked if I could find it in myself to move past this. She said she loves me and she's fully committed. I couldn't tell her what she wanted. I said it was best the wedding be put off and I needed space to sort my feelings. She was against postponing and proclaimed this didn't have to define us, and she's still the same woman I wanted to marry. She asked me not to give up on us. But the same way her mind was made about the break, my mind was made on postponing. It wasn't a choice, it wasn't so much a fight, more putting everything out there. She cried a lot. She rarely cries. It felt wrong to leave her crying. My first instinct was to comfort her, but I was too broken to fake it. I've been hurt before, but she hurt me in a way only she could. I know postponing the wedding is for the best. The reason why I didn't call it off entirely is because I'm way too much in my emotions right now. Hurt, anger, sadness, and somehow numbness. At all possible, I try to avoid making decisions lost in emotion. I need to clear my head. I was so sure of my course and our relationship. My fiancée was my partner in every sense. She was who I wanted to make a life with. Sometimes she'd act so superior about our relationship compared to those of her friends. I feel so stupid. She says she's still the same person I love. But the fact is she had a secret life I knew nothing about. I'm trying my best to understand that, but I'm at a complete loss. I'm not sure if I can move past this. All the guests have been informed of the postponement. Some questioned why, but I've been vague. I'm just too embarrassed. I feel bad for the guests too. Some with limited means already booked flights and hotels and took time off work for our wedding. That's how far we were in the homestretch. In some ways it doesn't feel like my life. We were just together, wedding planning and discussing the honeymoon. The honeymoon was a surprise destination for her, someplace she's always wanted to visit. Now we're here. Where to go or what the future holds. Thanks to everyone again for the support. It means a lot. Stories number 8. My girlfriend said she's not proud to introduce me to her friends because of my job. Am I overreacting for wanting to pull back from the relationship? I, 24M, have been dating my girlfriend, 26F, for almost a year. She's amazing, smart, driven, getting her grad degree in clinical psych. Her friends are all in that same academic bubble and her family's pretty status focused. I didn't finish college and work full-time as a mechanic. I actually really like my job, I make solid money, and I'm proud of how far I've come without a degree. Anyway, she invited me to a dinner party this weekend to meet her friends. I was excited, it felt like a step forward. But right before we left, she got weirdly quiet and finally said, just try not to bring up work too much, okay? They can be a little judgy. I didn't even know how to respond. Then she added, it's not that I'm not proud of you, I just don't want you to feel awkward or out of place. That really hit me. I kept it together, but the whole night I felt off. I barely talked. It just felt like I was being prejudged before even walking in the door. When we got back to her place, I told her how much that hurt, that it felt like she was embarrassed of me. She said I was twisting things and making it bigger than it was. I just want you to be the best version of yourself, she said. Since then, I've been distant. She's acting normal, but I can't shake how it made me feel. I don't know if I'm being too sensitive or if this is something I shouldn't just brush off. Am I overreacting? Stories number 9. Aita for not making my son give rides to his stepsister from school. I, 45M, share 3 kids with my ex, 16M, 14M, and 11F. We divorced 10 years ago. My ex, D, remarried 8 years ago and has another bio daughter, 7F, and a stepdaughter, 14F. My kids have never really gotten along with their stepsister. She pretty much gets whatever she wants. She has always had her own room and bathroom at their mom's house, my daughter had to share with her brothers. She does not do chorus and expects my kids to do whatever she asks them to do. Things have been really bad the last 2 years, and a little over a year ago, my oldest came to live with me full-time. A few months later, his brother followed. My oldest turned 16 back in December. I bought a car for him. My only request was that he would take his brother and sister, my kids, to school, which he agreed to do. My sons and their stepsister go to the same school. Not long after I got him the car, Dee started asking that my son take his stepsister to and from school. My ex's neighborhood is on the route to school from my house. He refused. My ex tried to make me make him do it. I refused. Well, last month, we got a winter storm come in. The first round was not supposed to be bad, so there was school. But, quickly the weather got worse than predicted, so the school let out early. My sons were walking to the car with a friend to head to my house. Their stepsister was standing near the car with a friend and was on her phone. She told my son, "Mom says she cannot come get us, so we need to ride with you." My son refused. She handed my son the phone and my ex was on the line. She demanded that my son give his stepsister and her friend a ride. She was across town getting groceries before the storm got worse. He refused. His stepsister started yelling at him. He ignored her and they got in the car to leave. She and her friend got in front of the car so he couldn't move. He honked his horn and told them to get the fuck out of the way. They eventually did, and my son left her and her friend at the school. A teacher saw the incident, so we were called by the administration about it. We told them what happened. My sons were not in trouble, but they said, "We need to work out this family conflict." Afterwards, my ex and her husband tried to talk to me and blamed me. I told them, "It isn't my fault, y'all raised an entitled brat who no one likes. Y'all have enabled her behavior for years. I have tried to get y'all to address it, but I am done. Until you stop being a worthless mother and stepdad, I do not want to hear shit from either one of you. Your own sons despise you. That is all on you." Then we left. I have not spoken to my ex since. I do feel bad for my daughter because tensions have been high at my ex's house and she is there half the time. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA, your ex choose her stepdaughter over her own kids. Commenter 2. She chose her new husband over her own children. His daughter is just an extension of him in her eyes. While her children with OP are an extension of him and an unwanted reminder to her new husband that he came after OP. OP's kids basically remind stepfather and mom that he is getting OP's sloppy seconds. And of course, she doesn't want to lose another husband, so she is going to favor his children over her ex's children. NTA. Commenter 3. Ex is just disrespectful and rude. She couldn't have called OP and their son herself and said, "I'm stuck, just this once in an emergency, could you please help me out?" Who is the grown-up here? The 16-year-old or her? Commenter 4. NTA. Sounds like they have spent years cultivating a bad relationship between the kids and want to blame you. That is on them. They are at the FAFO stage of parenting. I do family law and seen this plenty. Update. Answers to common questions. Looks like, at least until June 5th, it would be illegal for my son to take his stepsister and her friend home. I am not going for full custody for my daughter because she is highly attached to her little sister and would be sad to not see her every other week. But, I take my daughter to and from school every day. It is across the street from my office. While things are tense at my ex's, it does not appear that she is being treated any differently than before. There are no buses available for my kids and their stepsister are there on an inter-district transfer. Update. A little over a week ago, my ex reached out to try and see what we could compromise on about the situation. I told her there was nothing to compromise about. I explained that until June, he legally cannot take her anyways. I do not want her in the car, and our son does not want her in the car. My ex said it simply is not doable for her to take her or her dad to take her to school every day. If our son could take her on Tuesdays, they could do the other days. I told her no. This Tuesday, their stepsister demanded a ride. My son told her no, and she pushed him. A teacher saw it and she is facing possible in-school suspension. Disciplinary issues like this could compromise her inter-district transfer. That is the update. Comments. Commenter 1. What was their plan if he didn't get his license? Commenter 2. Or if OP didn't get his son a car? Update. Background. On June 5th, my son will be 16-1-2. Because he took driver's ed, at that time, there will be no restriction on number of passengers he can transport. There is no bus available due to the school being in a different district. Public transit is absolutely terrible where we are, both in terms of safety and time. Second update. Contrary to popular belief, my son's car was not keyed or anything like that. After the incident in the update, my sons and their stepsister ignored each other at school. Since that incident, my ex has tried to act sweet and kind when we have interacted. All involved schools let out last week for summer. On Monday, I had a meeting run long and I could not drop my daughter off at my ex's as I typically do. So, I had my son do the drop-off for me. When he got there, my ex asked to talk to him for a minute. She asked if she pays him, if he would agree to take his stepsister to and from school starting in the fall. As mentioned in my comments, my ex has switched shifts so she cannot pick up her stepdaughter from school. Her husband typically has to leave work to get his daughter from the school, and that is what has happened most days. But, it is starting to cause issues at his job. My son told her no and came home. That night, she calls me and asks if I would be interested in doing joint family therapy with her and all three of our kids. I told her, before that can happen, she, her husband, and her stepdaughter need to make a full and complete apology to our kids for their treatment over the years. She said, I do not know if I can make that happen. I told her, well, that is what needs to happen before I would consider your proposal. My kids and I already do individual therapy. This morning, she forwarded me some texts from one of her friends who is a teacher at the high school my ex's stepdaughter would have to attend if she switches schools. She was telling my ex that there are only a few spots left in the few honors AP courses that sophomores can take, so if the stepdaughter wants in those classes, she needs to enroll in the school now. So, my ex then said, I am desperate. I want her to stay where she is at. That is only possible if our oldest son agrees to take her. But, if I need to switch schools for her, I need to know now. I responded, this ain't got shit to do with our kids. And the fact that you are bending yourself into pretzels for, stepdaughter, is the problem because you do not do that shit for our kids. Do not contact me unless it is about our kids. That is the update. Comments. Commenter 1. Good for you. She's desperate but not desperate enough to tell her husband and SD that they need to give a genuine apology. I guess hubby and SD are not desperate. Your ex is awful. Commenter 2. Exactly how stupid is the ex, that she can't ask one of her stepkid's friends' parents to carpool JFC. This isn't rocket surgery. Stories number 10. A guy I met at a work event out of town won't stop bothering me. Hello, I created a throwaway so that I can share it anonymously. Around 10 months ago, I, 25F, went on my first work-related trip to a different city. There I met Jerry, 43M. I know there is a huge age gap but I know myself. I am generally into older guys. I met him at the hotel lobby I was staying. He asked me out on a coffee. I said yes. He was really charismatic. I was blushing the entire time. We spent a good weekend together, no sex by the way. We did kiss multiple times. He gave me his number and he didn't want to add me on social media because he said he doesn't use it. He did give me an Instagram ID to contact. This really made me a bit suspicious. I had this gut feeling that something about him was not right. So, I decided to search and do some background work. I tried to search him on Facebook and other social media but I hit a wall. I remembered that he gave me a business card. It was a card from his company. I also asked for a friend's help to find something on him. I don't know. I was just adamant of finding some dirt on him. Eventually we did find some interesting facts. That jerk is married with 2 kids. I saw his kids. One is about 16 to 17, another one is around 10 to 11. I wanted to throw up. I know my own sister tried to kill herself because her boyfriend cheated on her. I know the pain even if it is second-handed. I cut off all contact with him. I blocked his number. Few weeks after I totally ghosted him, I saw him at the parking lot of my office. He knew where I worked. Again my fault because I told him where I worked. He asked me why I didn't return his calls and blocked him on everything. I screamed at him, called him a liar. I told him I knew he was married, he had kids, in fact his oldest son is closer to my brother's age. This is really disgusting. He broke down crying and begging me to not leave him. He kept ranting how unhappy he is in his marriage. He just wanted someone to love him and when he saw me he fell in love with me and he wants to be with me. I told him this is not possible. He is married. I cannot do this to a woman. Even if I don't know her I have a decency to not ruin someone's marriage and forever be known as a homewrecker. He kept begging. I had to threaten him that I would shout so that people can throw him out. His calling and stalking didn't stop. I asked a friend and coworker of mine to escort me to my car because I was so afraid that Jerry would come towards me. He sent me messages after messages saying he was sorry. That he can be a better man if I am with him. I had to deactivate my social media for a while. For like 5 months it was calm and quiet. I had no issue. Then again I get a message in my email from Jerry saying that he has divorced his wife for my sake. And since he is not with his wife now, he and I can be together. I was really creeped out by this. I told him over and over again I do not want him. His harassment didn't stop. He threatened to ruin my career, he blamed me for ruining his marriage because I made a move on him. It is not true. He was the one who approached me first. I was just a little friendly with him. If I knew he was married back then, I would never ever reciprocate it to his flirting. I feel lost. I keep blaming myself that maybe all of this won't happen if I had not been friendly with him. I also don't want him to ruin my career. But I am scared for my life. Edit, I think I should mention I am not from USA. The police in my area are corrupt. Jerry is in a very high position in his company. He can easily ruin my career. I am collecting evidence because of his harassment. Relevant comments. Some asked if he is lying about the divorce and moving away. Reply, actually I don't know if he is just divorced or just separated. He told me he left his wife for me as if it will impress me. And I thought about moving, but it is scary because right here I have my family and friends. If I move to a new place he might come there as well and I would have no support. Some advised to block him. Reply, he is blocked everywhere. I even changed my number. I also opened a private social media account that no one knows. I need social media for work too. But still he finds a way to pop up in my life. My stalker's wife wants to contact me. Should I go? May 24th, 2023, 2 weeks later. Hi, couple of weeks ago I posted here asking for help. A guy I met on a work trip lied about being single. He has a wife and kids too. He has been stalking me. He told me he left his family for me so I should be with him because he made a big sacrifice for me. I have decided to file a restraining order. But these things take time in my country. But I have my dad and uncle with me. They are helping me find a new place and probably a new job. As soon as I can serve him with restraining order I can be relieved. But I am afraid it will work or not because he seems mad. His messages have been reduced because I threatened to call his wife. But the problem is yesterday, his wife emailed me and said that she wants to meet me. She said in details that she knows that her husband has some connection with me. I have never met this woman in my life. I don't know why she wants to meet me. I am guessing she wants to talk. But then again he told me he left his wife. Then how did his wife knew my information or even my email? If I meet her my stalker could know I talked to his wife. I am really scared about my life. What should I do? A part of me thinks that she might help me with my case. Has anyone ever been in my position? Relevant comments. People saying that is not his wife. That is him. Reply, I know there is a chance that could be him. But the woman seems desperate. She told me she found something about her husband and wanted to warn me. How much of it is true? Update. So, I took your advice and didn't want to see her. We had couple of email exchange. I told her clearly under no circumstances I want to meet someone who I cannot trust. Whatever she has to say she can say it in my email. She understood. I thought she would be opposed this idea. She told me she has been having doubts about her husband for a long time. So, she hired someone to keep an eye on him. There she found out he has been having an affair with multiple women. The first time he did this she forgave him but this time he is only stuck on me. She said that she found some pictures of me on his laptop. She shared a file which contains some pictures of me coming out of my office, me going to the gym, me going out to eat. I was shaking. I was in a very emotionally vulnerable state after seeing that I cannot be safe in my own life. I felt like I am being watched even now I am typing this. Imagine being a prisoner in your own house. I ended up telling the wife to have a Zoom meet for 5 minutes. I used a disposable account and just for extra safety I had the Zoom call on a public space along with a friend. I do not trust anyone at this point. I gave her some condition that I will not be showing my face. If she wants to show her face to me then fine, it is up to her. I saw her for the first time. She looked like the woman I saw in Jerry's picture with his wife and kids. She was basically crying and telling me she had made a huge mistake. She should have left that time and now he is bringing shame to her as well. I didn't say much, just the story of how me and Jerry met. Also Jerry lied. He didn't leave his wife. He was not separated from her. But I am sure he will be now. I feel so exposed. I can't believe this is happening to me. I always saw this happen in movies. I am moving in with my cousin because I do not feel safe anymore. I wish I never met him. I feel disgusted that I kissed him and I hugged him. I don't think any amount of shower is enough to wash all of that away. Also I feel guilty that I broke a family too. Thanks for listening to my vent. I don't think I will update anymore until I get the restraining order. Relevant comments. TBH I do not feel safe at all. This guy has been stalking me for God knows how long. I cannot even go to my office without any escorts. In a perfect world I would have him locked up for life. New update. If you are new seeing this, the gist is this guy I met at a work trip lied to me about being single. He has wife and kids. He stalked me. I issued a restraining order against him. So, I just want to say there has been a huge shocking moment. Basically my stalker, Jerry, tried to pull a Chris Watts. He attacked his wife and kids. His wife left him and he basically went to her place where she was staying with the kids and he tried to kill her with a knife. Before the police could arrive, he already did damage to her. I don't know details, but he punched her and busted her face and she was in coma for 3 weeks. I heard she is doing better now. Their oldest child got injured trying to help his mother. I wish nothing but good prayers for her and her family. That lady was nice and was so gentle with me knowing I was AP of her husband. I did send her flowers but I didn't went to visit them. Needless to say that Bastard is in jail. He will be serving a long time but the hearing is in September. But the amount of evidence they collected against him is enough to put him for life. I am happy that I am finally free. I no longer have to live in fear. But I still get scared at night. I still feel like someone is following me. I am still in therapy. I have become so isolated because of this incident that I have started to become neurotic and doubted my close friends. Anyways, I might delete this account now. But thanks for everyone who helped me. Stories number 11. I discovered my wife, 28F, of 7 years is cheating on me, 30M. She doesn't know that I know. December 15, 2024. TLDR, OP is 30M and married to Emily, 28F. They've been together since high school and have had a great marriage up until now. Emily is a successful hair and makeup artist who owns her own business which mostly caters to weddings. A lot of her success is due to John, 40SM, a wealthy local business owner who has sent her a lot of work and contacts. OP sees a message preview from John to Emily about how incredible the previous night was. Emily had worked late. OP then finds more evidence of other meetings, and discovers expensive jewelry and clothes which he had not purchased and written off as gifts from high-end clients. OP also realizes Emily does not love John but enjoys the lavish gifts and perks he provides. She never replies to John's loving messages, reminds John he should love his wife, and still treats OP as a loving best friend. OP is broken and will file for divorce. Emily is unaware he knows about the affair. Update 1. OP asks Emily CYA questions about their relationship and she admits he has never abused her or cheated on her and she wishes they made love more. They spend Christmas at her parents' house, and a gift arrives for Emily from Santa with a very expensive gold bracelet. Emily is visibly annoyed and tells everyone it is from a bridal client. She later has an angry phone call while gesticulating wildly. On New Year's Eve, Emily has to work late to deal with a bridezilla, but promises to be back for their annual kiss at midnight tradition. She arrives at 1:30 a.m. sobbing profusely. OP asks what happened and she says she is just sad because she missed their kiss. I asked her if she had anything else to tell me. She assured me that she didn't. I asked her point blank then if she cheated on me. She swore up and down that she didn't and that she was upset because she missed the countdown because since we have been married we always kissed each other when the clock struck midnight. I gave her every opportunity to come clean and she still lied to me. OP begins searching for attorneys while Emily is still unaware he knows. Update 2. OP finds new communications from Emily warning John OP suspects something. Emily tells John they need to stop and it is not fun anymore, and she doesn't want to lose her marriage. John mentions she should still use the credit card he gave her to hide their activities. Emily also messages her best friend, Bev, who has known of the affair and apparently has supported Emily through it. OP finds a good attorney and his dad helps pay for it. The attorney says the next step is find a PI to get more evidence and the attorney will subpoena the credit card. She also recommends beginning therapy. Emily love bombs OP and talks about starting a family. OP has complicated emotions switching between anger, disgust and missing wanting her. But overall he is miserable. Emily now suspects he knows something. Update 3. OP hires a PI who then follows John. On Valentine's Day, John leaves flowers and a card at Emily's business. Emily throws them in the dumpster and the PI retrieves them. The card has graphic details of their affair, e.g. John trying to win her back by describing his favorite parts of her body and what he does with them. The PI later sees Emily meet with John in a parking lot and seemingly end the affair. Emily will be served soon. OP begins love bombing her to show her what she will lose. OP has determined he is completely ghosting her once she is served. Update 4. TLDR, Emily is served at her business and she freaks out. OP sends a letter to family and friends describing her affair and includes John's graphic letter. He then messages Bev's husband and lets him know that Bev supported the affair. OP leaves a note to Emily, lawyer contact info, and photos of her affair, then leaves the house before Emily arrives. Emily messages him over and over saying they were supposed to get through this and she loves him. He ghosts her. Emily now knows he knows. This is major event, so OP's post is included here. I left Emily. We got the divorce papers, summons, petition, standing orders, etc. The PI, acting in his capacity as a process server, wore a body cam for obvious professional reasons, and I was able to look at the footage when he came by my hotel room later on in the afternoon. The PI walked up to Emily, who was sitting at her station and chatting with the other stylists who work for her. He showed her a manila envelope and told her he had legal documents for her and she had been served. Emily of course looked shocked and confused and just stared at him, gobsmacked. The PI clarified that the envelope contained legal documents regarding a divorce case filed against her, and he told her she should review them and contact her attorney. Then he dropped the documents at her feet with a satisfying slap as they hit the ground, since she refused to take them, and told her she's still been served. He then told her to have a nice day and walked out. Morgan Freeman narrator voice, Emily didn't have a nice day. I could hear her hyperventilating as the PI left and saying, "What? What is this? Really, Emily? You're actually surprised?" I was at home, and after the PI called and said he was heading in to serve her, I called Emily's dad. Since my mom died, I had, probably unwisely, been treating her mom, my MIL, like a mother. I just couldn't talk to her. I told Emily's dad about the divorce. I tried to keep it very simple and quick. Emily cheated on me. We're getting a divorce. I'll send you an email shortly with evidence of the affair. I stressed that Emily was being served divorce papers today, so she would absolutely need their support and they should head over to our house immediately. Emily's dad acknowledged that and said that he hoped we could find a way through this, and it would be a shame to break up our family. I guess Emily's mom was nearby and overheard, because she took the phone from him, put it on speaker, and asked if this is true. I explained to her about the cheating and the email with the evidence they'll receive. She started crying and apologizing to me. Since this thing started, she was the first person close to me who apologized to me. I was reminded of my mother, who always would comfort me when I was down, and I just broke, y'all. I started tearing up and croaked out, "I have to go," and hung up on her while she was saying, "No wait." I had packed up my work laptops and got a lot of my clothes in 2 large suitcases. On the advice of my attorney, I took down the cameras in the bathrooms and bedrooms when I left, but the cameras in the common areas can remain because my dad is the owner of the house. I packed the cameras up in my suitcases too. My lawyer sent the subpoena to the credit card company on Monday when I pulled the trigger on my marriage. I wrote an email to Emily's dad and sister and to some mutual friends who know both of us, including Bev's husband. It said, "I never thought I'd be writing this, but after everything that's happened, I don't see another choice. I wanted you to hear it from me directly so that there's no confusion or misinformation. Emily has been having an affair with a man named John, last name. I have evidence, emails, financial records, and an investigation that confirms it. I think we all know that her bracelet gift from Santa was not from a client, because the client would have identified themselves by name and clients don't know her parents' address. She's been meeting John and hiding it from me for months. I know this is painful to hear, and trust me, it's even more painful to write. But I didn't want you to be blindsided by all of this later. I'm attaching a few things to this email that make it clear what's been going on and to head off any of your concerns about the truth of my statements. I know this is shocking, and I don't expect you to take sides. I just want you to have the truth. I love Emily, but she's broken our marriage beyond repair, and I have no choice but to move forward with a divorce. FIL's name, MIL's name, SIL's name, SIL's hubby, thank you for being like a second family to me. I will miss all of you. I wrote a similar email to John's wife and gave her my attorney's name and number if she wanted to go see the physical evidence herself. It would have to be in my lawyer's office. Personally, I think my lawyer is going to try to get John's wife to give her a retainer. I also sent a group text for them to check their emails. Then I blocked Emily's family. To the email I attached a photo of John and Emily kissing goodbye in the hotel parking lot and a photo of the contents of John's Valentine's Day card to Emily. It was explicit. Finally, I had a link to the recording of Emily saying that I didn't abuse or cheat on her. I just wanted to head that bullshit off ahead of time. OP then goes into details on the letter to Bev's husband. I then left my wedding ring, a printed copy of the same photo of Emily and John at the hotel parking lot kissing, my lawyer's business card, and a note, "Thanks for your help on this, guys." The note said, "I hope your affair with John was worth our marriage. We are getting a divorce. Contact my lawyer if you have any questions or need to get in touch for arrangements regarding the divorce. Otherwise, get a lawyer and let's get this over with. If you're truly remorseful, then do me the courtesy of giving me the easiest, most generous divorce possible. I loved you and I could have forgiven almost anything, except abject betrayal. I would have loved you for the rest of my life. On my way out, I got a call from Emily that I ignored. I put my phone on silent and dropped by the bank. I took out half our money from the various accounts we have. Checking, emergency, vacation fund. I have already frozen my credit. When I got to the hotel, I cancelled our shared credit cards. I made arrangements to freeze our joint investment accounts so that she couldn't withdraw money from them. They're in my name. Adultery subreddit pro tip: people, if you cheat, make financial arrangements ahead of time in case you get caught. I then got a text from her. I left her on read because my lawyer told me that if she confesses to the affair over text, we can use that as more evidence for the divorce. I'm responding to her texts here only because it's therapeutic to me. Messing with the language writing of her texts because I'm paranoid. Note, Opie clarified that Emily used normal language in her texts and he only changed it to shorthand here to avoid her searching for her comments online and finding this post. This is the condensed version of the past 12 hours or so. WTF is this? I'm divorcing you. Answer your phone. We need to talk right now. Nope. I have had enough gaslighting for a lifetime, thank you very much. This was followed up by a lot of texts demanding I call her or answer her calls. No thanks. Then the texts changed. So I presumed she got home, and read the note and saw what I left. I don't know what you think you know, but I can exp everything. It's not what you think. You're right, Emily. I'm a stupid idiot who'll believe anything you say. Divorce? We love each other. We're supposed to work through this mistake. Mistake? Oops, my wet hoo-ha fell onto John's erect wee-wee. Repeatedly. For almost a year. Oopsie. Look, I know I fucked up. But don't do this. Don't leave like this. Finally, an acknowledgement of the affair over text. Zing. Write to my lawyer. I never stopped loving you. I never loved him. Another gift from Emily. Zing. Write to my lawyer. Then, the tone changed later. You are overreacting. You are acting like I never loved you, like I wasn't trying to fix things, but you wouldn't let me. Fix things. Okay. Build a time machine, Emily. Build a goddamn time machine. Are you just going to ghost your own wife? Consults Magic 8 Ball, all signs point to yes. Then, her parents showed up at the house. Hoo boy, what the fuck did you do? And then, you had no right to involve my fam like this. Then followed by, are you trying to humiliate me? Are you trying to ruin my life? Do you hate me that much now? Kinda. It's complicated. After that comes a barrage of phone calls that I didn't answer. How could you do this? How could you try to turn my own fam against me? I'm trying to have them not turn against me, and then, I told you I never loved him. I never loved him. No one cares, honey. Least of all John. I know you love me. I love you too. We can fix this. We can fix everything, and then, just tell me what to do. Tell me how to fix this. I'll do it. Let me get this straight. You wiped your ass with our marriage vows and stabbed me in the back, and now you want me to tell you how to fix this shit? I had to go to Walmart because I forgot to pack underwear and I don't have a rich sugar daddy to buy me some fancy skivvies from Saks Fifth Avenue. You never loved me if you can do this to me. Fuck this shit. I am going to have to block her instead of leaving her on red. I don't think I can take this, man. So this is how a marriage ends. No fanfare, no heroic deeds, just whining, crying, anger, and depression. Just like any other divorce, really. Only this is my divorce and it feels like the end of the fucking world. But in reality this is all just beginning. I feel this whole process is going to take years. I hope not. My lawyer assures me that, with the evidence we have, it'll go relatively quick. Meanwhile I'm thinking, what? Relatively quick? Relative to what? Continental drift? At this point, I just want to thank you beautiful men and women who supported and encouraged me. I'd vacuum out all your cars if I could, and clean your bathrooms. I just want a falling anvil to hit me in the head and cause amnesia like a cartoon character or a Hallmark Channel movie. I know this is tonally all over the place. I keep second guessing myself if I did the right thing. I just changed my life today in a fundamental way. I'm wondering if it's a lateral move. I feel like I've moved from a warm cesspool to a cold gray rocky place. Is it an improvement? I feel like I have these scars now and the one who gave them to me is the one person in the world I trusted the most. I will never forgive her. Now I have to buck up and walk it off like a real man because feelings and tears are weak and a turn off. I just want my mom. Update 5. Emily sends an email describing the affair. She says John saved her business, then began pressuring her until she gave in. It was supposed to be once, but he kept pushing for more and called her ungrateful when she tried to stop. She never loved him and always loved OP and hoped their relationship would survive this. Her family has also told her she messed up and understand why OP is divorcing her. OP can't believe she is acting like a victim and doing trickle truth without mentioning how fun she said it was and the credit card that bought her lots of expensive things. He just wants the divorce to be finished. OP is still ghosting Emily. She has not seen or spoke with him since he said goodbye and left for work the day she was served. Update 6. Night out with the brothers. OP is staying at a friend's rental. His friends take him out and play D&D. He tries to forget about life for a while. OP's lawyer says John's wife, Lisa, contacted her. They will work together on aligning evidence for their respective divorces. Update 7. Meeting John's wife and MIL. OP meets with John's wife, Lisa. They share timelines and evidence. On New Year's, John was vacationing with Lisa and their 3 kids, then he flew home early. Lisa found video of Emily going to their house with John that night. OP meets with his MIL. He has a very close relationship with her, especially after his mother passed. She brings him groceries and homemade meals and tells him he needs to eat more. The MIL asks if reconciliation is possible and OP says the man Emily married is dead and the man who is left would treat her horribly. MIL says Emily is staying with them and spends all day crying in her room and only comes out to get water. OP suggests MIL gets her in therapy. Update 8. Bev, credit card records, and infidelity dodgeball. Bev deleted all social media and OP has no idea what is going on with her. The lawyer received the credit card records of the card John gave Emily. She spent $30,000 over 9 months, including hotel dates, gifts, and even items she bought for OP. She also spent $175 at a sex superstore for John, which affects OP the most. Emily's lawyer doesn't know they have the records. The credit card records infuriate and break OP, who calls Emily a whore with a wealthy John. Any remaining love for Emily is gone. Emily's lawyer has reached out to set up a meeting between both groups. OP can ask one question beforehand to get a full answer. OP asks to describe what really happened on NYE. Update 9. Lawyers. OP and his lawyer meet with Emily, MIL, and their lawyer. OP has anxiety and takes a pill which makes him happy and floaty during the meeting. Emily's lawyer offers terms which asks OP to try reconciliation for 9 months and then gets generous terms if they still divorce afterward. OP's lawyers say they will review it. Emily also provides a written answer about what happened on NYE. OP's lawyer brings up the credit card charges. Emily's party is shocked. Her lawyer stammers and was obviously unaware of the card. MIL shakes her head, especially at the sex store entry. Emily freaks out and nearly runs away. OP's medicine reacts and he throws up. He then offers Emily his terms, which has been updated to include his fresh puke. Discussions end. Emily's lawyer drops her as a client since he was a family friend doing a favor and didn't appreciate the lies from her. Emily's written answer about NYE states that she was actually working late with a bridezilla, then John met her and he drove her to his house so he could call his family, which he had just ditched on vacation. They then had unsatisfying sex and John did a power play to keep Emily after midnight so she missed her kiss with OP. Here is OP's description of the events of the day. So we had the negotiation today around 10 a.m. Emily, as expected, looked well put together but tired. She had her hair up in a carefully crafted blonde ponytail and was wearing a very short black dress with a suit jacket. Emily looked at me with a pained expression and doing her fake smile. She was shaking slightly the whole time and taking these deep breaths periodically. She didn't say anything, but she sure looked like she wanted to. Emily's mom was dressed in a nice sundress and she had done her makeup and hair, or Emily had done it. She smiled at me genuinely and reached for me but then held back like she realized I was the enemy today. I gave her a little smile and wave. They proceed to review about Emily's proposal and other general questions to OP. OP is floaty throughout. My lawyer then pulled out a folder of the credit card records and put it on the table and told Emily's side that we know she had a Visa Infinite card in her name that was billed to John's wedding venue business. Emily immediately tensed up and froze, wild-eyed. Emily's mom's head snapped to stare at her. Emily's lawyer cleared his throat loudly and blinked like 700 times. My lawyer started reading off hotel charges and dates and asking why those charges and dates coincided with meetings with John in her appointment book. Emily started shaking and stammering. Her lawyer instructed her to be silent. He said that they were not aware of any credit card and that they were not notified of this evidence. My lawyer told them that they were notified now and handed him another folder with copies of the credit card records. My lawyer then talked about the charges in December that included the toy store and asked if she bought me and her family Christmas gifts with the card. Emily was breathing heavy and had a nice flop sweat forming. Not a good look, Emily. Not a good look at all. Her mom said what? And Emily's lawyer cleared his throat like a magician's assistant who knows the trick is about to fail. My lawyer then asked if Emily recognized the clothes I was wearing and could she point out in the card records which charges coincided with them. Emily stood up and looked like she was about to bolt. Her lawyer looked annoyed. My lawyer then asked Emily about the $175 charge at the local name, Sex Superstore, and Emily's lawyer sighed heavily and said that he felt that the meeting has stopped being productive. Simultaneously, Emily's mom looked down at the floor, said, "Oh God," and got up and left the room, her hand over her mouth. Knowing my MIL, the "oh God" was more of a prayer than an expletive. God, sorry, I can't answer my phone right now. But if you leave your name, number, and a brief message. At the same time the Sex Superstore was mentioned, Emily started going crazy and saying she can explain. It's not what I think. Emily's shame has entered the chat. Floaty me just sat there like an ape researcher watching monkeys throw their shit at each other like yep this is happening. How many eggs do I have left at home? Forgot to count this morning. So I had taken the Klonopin an hour before the meeting on an empty stomach and my stomach was now filing for divorce too. I hurried over to the small trash can, picked it up, and vomited into it. Not much came out other than the expensive bottled lawyer water I had drank earlier. Afterwards, I sat down casually like nah I didn't just vomit into a trash can, you're seeing things while Emily was asking if I was sick and if I was okay. I ignored her. Emily started sobbing and apologizing and asked to speak with me privately while her lawyer comforted her awkwardly while shushing her and herding her out of the room, taking the folder and a copy of our offer that my lawyer launched at him as he was gathering his stuff. His face was the color of a tomato, Floaty me observed. I was still sitting there after the door shut and my lawyer grabbed Emily's business records and told me that she was right, it would be a short meeting. Floaty me looked at my lawyer silently for a bit, and pointed at the vomit trash can. Can we make that part of our offer too? For the first time since I met her, my lawyer started really laughing hard. Like stomach holding laughter. She said she'll mention it. As to what Emily said happened on New Year's Eve, it was something I couldn't have guessed. Emily said she actually did go to the Bridezilla's get-together in order to make an appearance, she was invited but not required to be there like she told me. She met John there because it was John who introduced her to the Bridezilla and got her that gig. John had a business relationship with Bridezilla's dad and was invited as well. John and Emily left the venue separately but met in the parking lot and John gave Emily a ride to the hotel because she had been drinking. Instead of going to the hotel, though, John insisted they go to his home instead, despite her protests. She didn't want to antagonize him, so she went along with it but complained the whole time about getting out of there by 11:30. They went to his place, he FaceTimed his wife, they had very unsatisfying sex in his marital bed, her words, and she drove him back to the venue where the NYE Bridezilla family get-together was, which was empty by that time. She drove home, having sobered up some. Nauseating. But it's what I needed to hear. I had assumed they went to the hotel, had sex, and then again at his place. Turns out, they skipped the hotel entirely. He drove her straight to his house under the guise of needing to FaceTime his wife at midnight, and to defile their marital bed. Romantic, right? At least she didn't enjoy herself, though, right? Right? That makes all the difference. Update 10, Emily's backyard cookout. OP is notified of a fire at his old house. He rushes there to find Emily in the backyard burning all of her expensive gifts from John. He startles her as he puts out the fire. She gives him a hug and won't let go. It's the first time they have been alone since he ghosted her. Her parents arrive and then the cops. They all scold her for the fire, but she seems happy just to see OP. Everyone leaves and OP donates the remaining items and changes the locks. Emily has started an apology tour and has told all friends and family the full details of her affair. She also has a new lawyer. Update 11, Bev's husband and postnuptial agreement. OP meets with Bev's husband. Bev admitted to living vicariously through Emily's affair and asked for forgiveness from her husband. She cut all contact with Emily. He and Bev are working through things but he came close to leaving her and their relationship is strained. OP created his final terms for the divorce. One non-negotiable item is that it is an at-fault divorce and Emily's infidelity is a matter of public record. Any person who looks her up online will see that her marriage ended due to her affair. The PI said most of his job is researching new boyfriends, girlfriends of upper-class people, and this type of thing ends those relationships fast. Lisa's divorce is going through and she will likely do very well, especially after Emily provided an affidavit of the entire affair. John is miserable, alone, and his kids want nothing to do with him. OP plans to write a letter to Emily explaining how reconciliation is impossible in order to reduce the lawyer back and forths and go straight to final negotiations. Update 12. Letters to Emily. OP is trying to write a letter to Emily to explain how reconciliation is impossible. He goes through many variations before finding one and sending it to her. The letter states the definition of love and how she went against it time and time again. He describes how she brought another man into their relationship and continued to kiss and make love with OP even immediately after doing the same with John. What she did wasn't just betrayal, it was defilement, it was degrading. She killed the version of OP she loved and is now trying to bargain with his ghost. It is over and they need to both move on. She receives the letter and cries uncontrollably, according to MIL. OP's lawyer sends their final terms for divorce to Emily's lawyer and now they wait for her to accept or reply with changes. Update 13, Mother's Day and FIL. OP provides small updates. Emily attends an outpatient mental health facility each day after work. OP is moving back into his place after removing all of Emily's items photos. OP called MIL for Mother's Day and had a good talk. John is trying to reconcile with Lisa but her and her friends are ripping him apart in a chat that OP is included in. Emily has agreed to OP's divorce terms so the final step is to meet and sign the final documents. Emily wants to make an agreement with OP entirely and completely separate from the divorce agreement. She wants to meet with OP in 1 year's time with a mediator and a counselor for a couple of hours. She and her parents have put $7,500 in escrow for it. They will pay for the therapist and mediator. All OP has to do is show up and participate in a good faith manner and he'll get the $7,500. This is entirely optional. There's no penalty for OP not showing up other than not getting the $7,500. Emily and family with go non-contact with OP for the year, them breaking NC will forfeit the $7,500 to OP. OP addresses a YouTube video supposedly written by Emily, but states that there are enough inaccuracies that it is likely written by someone following him on Reddit making up the gaps. Finally, OP visits with FIL for what seems like the final time. FIL explains what they've learned in family therapy with Emily. Emily grew up believing she had to be perfect and thrived on receiving praise. When her business was failing in 2022 she couldn't go to OP or her parents for fear of being a failure, so she went to John who mentored her and paid for her business expenses. Over 2 years, John started expecting more and said he would end it if she didn't do something extra in return. OP was the one thing in her life that made her feel like she could be a better person. And when she started lying to OP about how her business got out of trouble, that illusion shattered. So she decided she must be a bad person after all and acted accordingly by giving in to John's advances. Update 14, Divorce Papers Signed. OP and Emily meet to sign and notarize the divorce documents and the $7,500 agreement. As part of the latter agreement, Emily reads a radical honesty statement that explains everything about the affair. It says she still loves OP and will never forgive herself for hurting him. She admits to having a full-blown affair and was not coerced. She had fun with it and loved the lavish gifts and attention. But she never loved John. Emily then goes into explicit detail of the sexual acts she and John did. OP flees from the room and leaves the office entirely. As part of the $7,500 agreement, Emily's family has to go NC for 1 year, so at this point OP will not be hearing from any of them. OP is unsure if he will even meet in a year but is adamant that he will never get back with Emily. And with the divorce signed and Emily being NC, there shouldn't be any new updates until late summer when a judge finalizes the divorce. Excerpts from OP's description of Emily's statement are included here. She admitted John was a full-blown affair. John never forced or coerced her. She let it happen and she wanted it to happen. It was on me, she said and then cried some more. John helped her with her business and gave her the credit card. He basically seduced her with his charm and the fact that he took her to all of these super exclusive and expensive places and she willingly allowed herself to be seduced. It's not an excuse. What stung was how she said it felt like success. Being wanted by a rich asshole validated her in a way she couldn't admit to herself at the time. She said it was fun in the beginning because she was able to separate it from our life and she was swept up in the romantic dates and the boutiques and him working his charm. Compartmentalization. She did repeat that she was never in love with him. It was just exciting and forbidden and sneaky. She said the sex shop purchase was a remote control vibrator, some costumes that she said were cheap and humiliating and she threw them away because they didn't fit well, condoms and lube. She insisted they always use condoms but they didn't in actual practice. She was aware of his vasectomy. She said she enjoyed the sex at first because of the excitement and forbiddenness and new relationship energy, but then it became like a chore because John ultimately wasn't particularly great in bed and she started to feel guilty all the time and, yet again, she said she didn't love him. She said it stopped being fun when John started acting like he owned her and she owed him her time. She didn't like how possessive he was getting or how he treated her like a thing he bought rather than a person he cared about. She didn't end it then, though. When I asked why, she said she didn't have a good answer other than she felt stuck. She said the gifts and the credit card and the help with her failing business blurred the lines. She, and Bev, told herself to keep it going just a little longer until she could untangle herself because she was too deep in to cleanly break away. She said she had already started doing this in October when her business became profitable on its own. On NYE, she met John at Bridezilla's party and thought they were just going to a hotel as usual. Instead, he took her to his house without asking. They had sex in John's master bedroom reluctantly on her part, and then, right after, he FaceTimed his wife while Emily was still right there. She said the way he looked at his wife and the way he stole glances at her during that call made her feel sick. She said that because of their actions at John's home and after I accused her of cheating that night, she saw it for the ugly thing it was. That's when she decided she was done. She bought all the gifts and date nights for me out of guilt, which is not a big revelation at this point either. Same with the sex and love bombing for me all through the affair. And then she decided to get specific. It sounded like she was reading from the script of a low-budget porn shoot. Every word shredded me. Hearing what she let him do. What she chose to let him do felt like being erased. Like our sex life had been overwritten by some horrific bullshit. At that point, I couldn't hear any more. I felt like this balloon of ice-cold water exploded in my chest and I started breathing heavy and I just had to get the hell out of there. I ran out of the lawyer's office with Emily crying hard like she was surprised I didn't want to sit through this shit. Stories number 12. My wife's sister accused me of manipulation after my wife announced her pregnancy, Aita for kicking her out. My wife didn't want to have kids when we were young. She used to keep saying that she didn't want to have children even after we got married and I respected her decision, but that was a few years ago. She was only 20 back then and now we are 26 and my wife changed her mind and we decided to try for a child and after a few months she finally got pregnant. We invited our families and surprised them, but my wife's aunt and her daughter were offended while everyone else were giving us their blessings. My wife's sister said in front of everyone that my wife didn't want to have a child and I have manipulated her and got her pregnant against her will. When I said that I didn't manipulate my wife and we were trying, she says that she knew her and my wife didn't want to have children and I must have done or said something to convince her because of my anger problems and how controlling I get. After she insulted me in front of everyone, I said that my problems are none of her business and she should leave right away. My wife said that she changed her mind and wanted to try for a child and they shouldn't blame me. They left, but obviously it ruined the occasion for us and mostly our siblings and parents were with us, but still the dinner was awkward and I feel like I made a big mistake by inviting her sister. Stories number 13. Aita for not punishing my daughter for kicking her cousin. I am 28, 6-year-old daughter. Over the weekend, we were at my nephew's 4th birthday party at my sister's house. It was a typical family gathering, lots of food, noise, and kids running around in the backyard while the adults chatted. At one point, I heard some yelling and crying from the yard. I looked over and saw my daughter standing near one of her cousins, who was sitting on the ground holding his stomach. His mom immediately ran over and started scolding my daughter, demanding to know why she kicked him. My daughter looked shaken but stayed calm. She told me that her cousin had punched her in the arm because she didn't want to give him a toy. She said she told him to stop and tried to walk away, but he hit her again, so she kicked him in the stomach. Her cousin's mom was furious and said I needed to punish my daughter and make her apologize. I told her I'd talk to my daughter privately, but I wasn't going to discipline her for defending herself. I did tell my daughter that kicking should be a last resort, and that it's better to get an adult when possible, but I also made it clear that if someone hits her more than once and won't stop, she has the right to protect herself. Now, a few family members think I handled it wrong and say I'm teaching her to be violent. I disagree. I don't want her to be aggressive, but I do want her to know she doesn't have to just take it when someone is hurting her. Aita for not punishing her. Stories number 14. My boyfriend admitted he orchestrated our meet cute. I have no idea how I feel about what he told me. I want to think it's cute that he cared this much, but it's just coming off as creepy and I feel lied to. He got drunk because we were celebrating my first successful day at my clinical and he ended up saying something along the lines of, "Could you believe we wouldn't be this happy if I hadn't watched you for so long?" To which I was confused and didn't know what he meant. Well, I had worked at a local library for 2 years, before we met, during college, and apparently he saw me there but didn't actually talk to me. He just would watch me and listen in on my conversations with the people I was checking out and my coworkers to figure out what I liked. Then he apparently followed me and found the coffee shop I frequented. All this time I thought we had a sweet first-time meeting story. He accidentally bumped into me, apologized, and offered to buy me coffee for the trouble. He told me what he was ordering and it was the exact same thing I always get and I thought it was an amazing coincidence. I joked that it was fate and we spent like an hour talking over coffee. I feel so stupid. Apparently it was similar to a scene in a book that I had read and told my coworker I had thought was cute. I'm just so frustrated and angry. I feel betrayed, like why would you do this? And how much of our 1.5 year relationship is a lie? Like it sounds like he was stalking me. Edit, just so we're all on the same page, I don't believe he was watching me the whole time I was working there, I think it was the last 6 months or so before I actually met him. He is a bit socially awkward, but he has a group of friends that he plays D&D and hangs out with like once a week. He's 25 and I'm 22 so it's not a weird age gap. I have never really considered him going through my phone weird because I basically let anyone look at my phone whenever. I'm not worried about anyone seeing anything. I've also never really been worried about my safety with him before, but I do know that he has anger issues and has gotten in trouble for getting into a few physical fights, so for those of you worried about me I will be watching for any signs I might have missed. I mainly am just upset because I feel like our relationship was built on a lie, even if it was a smallish one. He also said he was interested in a lot of the same things I was when we first met and for a while he kept up with them, but lately he hasn't at all and I'm now wondering if he lied about those things too. I definitely need to have a conversation with him and I'm driving home now so I'll talk with him when I get there. Thanks for the feedback folks. Update, my boyfriend admitted he orchestrated our meet cute. Hey everyone, I know a lot you have been worried about me and I just wanted to let all of you know that I'm safe. Shit has definitely hit the fan, but at the moment I'm safe. First, no I didn't make that last edit. My boyfriend went on my phone while I was showering and trying to figure out what I wanted to say to him about everything and he found and edited my post. He then started yelling at me while I was still in the shower about sharing it online and calling him creepy. At the same time he was guilt-tripping me and telling me that it was romantic and he did it because he loved me. He literally read a few of the comments out loud to me. He barely let me out of the shower but I did manage to get my clothes on while he was screaming at me. What really freaked me out was that he started listing off things that he could have done to me. I won't list them here because it was extremely gruesome and I don't think it's allowed, but he said that he didn't do those things because he's such a nice guy. The way he described the things he could have done though made me feel like he had genuinely considered doing it. Also, I thought he was only watching me for a few months, apparently it was upwards of a year and it was genuine actual stalking. He had followed me home and to my college campus, he pulled out a collection of my lost hair ties that he kept. I told him that he was scaring me and that we needed to take a break and come back to it later. At that he put a hole in the wall next to my head. I told him that I was leaving after that because fuck that shit and it was like a switch flipped and he started crying. He got on his knees and begged me to stay and apologized. I ended up accepting his apology because I didn't feel safe leaving. Yesterday morning after he'd left for work I grabbed all my important documents and irreplaceable things before my clinical started and kept them in my car. After my clinical I didn't go back to the apartment. I'm not going to give much more detail than that because he does know my account obviously. And for Andrew if you're reading this, which we both know you are, please just leave me alone. The person I thought I loved doesn't actually exist and that's heartbreaking. I no longer feel safe with you like I did before and I hate that. Please let's just move on from each other. Stories number 15. Aita for not paying for something I ordered and walking out. I, 23F, have a friend group with 5 women including me. Their ages range between 21 to 26. This happened yesterday and I need opinions on whether I was right to walk out without paying or wrong for doing so. So yesterday was my friend's Lily, 21F, birthday. She just turned 21 and wanted a birthday dinner at a fancy restaurant. Me and 4 other girls were in attendance. All of my friends drink aside from me. I'm not a drinker, have never been one, and will never be one. Me and my friends get seated down and Lily all happy suggests me to buy an alcoholic beverage. I refused and the rest of my friends decided to chime in and tells me to get one. Once again I refuse. They know I don't drink and how I feel about it. But basically them begging me to get a drink kept going on for about 5 minutes. Even sent the waiter away because I hadn't agreed yet. I'm not good under pressure especially when multiple PPL are telling me to do one thing. I eventually said yes though because they kept begging. Lily even suggested a drink and said it's for beginners, whatever that means. I told them I didn't want it and that I know I won't like it. They said I will. The drink came and as I stated I didn't like it. One sip and I wanted it gone. They told me to keep trying it but I refused and luckily they just dropped it. Anyways the bill comes and I separated the meal that I got from the drink. They all asked me why I did that as I should be buying the drink. I said I wasn't buying it since I didn't willingly get it. They begged me to get it knowing I didn't want it. Lily said I could have said no. I did. Many times at that. They kept going back and forth with me on it and eventually I just got up and walked out the restaurant. I sent the money for my meal to Lily and stated that if she or no one else was going to buy the drink then they shouldn't have begged me to got it. My husband stated I wasn't in the wrong and that I should distance myself from them. However, the text messages from all four of them haven't stoked. Stories number 16. Aita. For not telling my parents that my arranged marriage is actually a love marriage. I 23 female have been dating my neighbor 25 male since 10 years. Keep in mind I live in a third world country and in my culture love marriages and girlfriend-boyfriend relationships are seen as a shame. My boyfriend's family is not like that so they know about me from the beginning and I have met them several times. But my family on the other hand. For girls it's a big fat no when it comes to dating no matter you're 18 plus or 20 plus so I have been hiding this relationship since 10 years from them. Don't get me wrong, my family is understanding and gives me freedom I can go wherever I want with my female friends or whatever I want but it's just the boyfriend thing that's not allowed. Yes, I live with my parents at 23 because in my country people live with their parents in their home no matter their age. It's not just my family actually where I live it's a cultural thing that girls can't date. Last year when I turned 23 my family started looking for marriage options for me, arranging a marriage for me, but I couldn't do an arranged marriage as my boyfriend and I loved each other a lot. But I was scared shitless to tell my family that I have had a boyfriend all this time. I don't know, maybe they would have agreed, maybe they would have been angry and then agreed because don't get me wrong my parents do love me a lot and do every possible thing to make me happy but telling them that I have been keeping a boyfriend behind their back, lying to them to meet him I just didn't want them to think I broke their trust. So I made a plan. As my boyfriend and I were neighbors our families knew each other, they were not friends or anything but my parents knew my boyfriend's mother. So I asked my boyfriend's mother to tell my parents that she would like me to be her daughter-in-law, that way my parents would think that it's an arranged marriage. Actually it's a tradition here in arranged marriages that the guy's mother has to talk to the girl's parents if she wants their daughter's hand in marriage for her son, so my boyfriend's mother did just that, and trust me I was so nervous about what my parents would say. If they say no then what? Then I would have to tell them the truth. This thought alone was enough to take my anxiety to the roof, but thank God. My family actually really liked the proposal and agreed. We had an engagement a few months back and we are set to marry this year. I am super happy, happiest I have ever been to marry the love of my life which I prayed for since 10 years. But often I feel bit guilty about lying to my family. So Aita for not telling my parents that my arranged marriage is actually a love marriage. P.S. People are saying my parents might know, I think that's highly unlikely because I never got caught. They didn't even have a single hint that I could ever date. I never gave them any reasons to be suspicious, they actually agreed so easily because my fiancé have been treating my father with special attention since years whenever they meet outside the house. Also he have been bringing food, sweets on special occasions and festivals. He did every possible thing to impress my father and his family has a good reputation in the neighborhood so my parents agreed easily because they knew he's a good person and family also has good reputation. Stories number 17. Aita because I told my wife she isn't allowed to ground my son. My son is 17. My wife and I also have 3 more boys. 2 are from before our marriage, but I'm legally their father now. They are all much younger than my son. My son is starting his senior year of high school next year and hoping to get an athletic scholarship. My son plans to spend all summer practicing. Yesterday my wife asked him to tidy up the living room and he said he was already on the way to the gym. She told him that he could go after tidying. He said he would do it when he got back and left without giving her time to reply. She sent him a text saying he is grounded and then called me to let me know. I told her I would talk to him, but he wasn't grounded. She said he disrespected her, and I said we could and would have a conversation about that, but there would be no grounding. This is my last summer with my oldest child and an important summer, because he's trying to achieve something that can make or break his future. I'm not going to risk ruining either of those things unless it's something really serious. She was very upset. I texted my son that he wasn't grounded, but that we wanted to talk to him when he came home. He said okay and texted me when he was leaving the gym to let us know he was on the way. When he got back we sat down and talked. He said he didn't mind helping out, but that he was a busy person with a busy schedule and wasn't at our beck and call. He said if he is asked in advance to do something he will, but he isn't available to us at the drop of a hat. My wife didn't like that, but I said that was fine. I asked him if he would be willing to clean the living room, and he said he would after taking a shower. While he was in the shower my wife and I got into a big fight. She said I undermined her and all the kids will respect her less. I said she isn't my oldest's mother and final say goes to me with him. Any of our other kids and I wouldn't do what I did, but she's not his mom. She was very angry I said that and said she needed space from me. We have only talked as much as necessary today, and I'm getting worried. We are supposed to be at a Memorial Day barbecue in an hour, and she just asked me if I could stay home while she took the boys without me. My oldest has plans with friends and already left. I am wondering if I'm the asshole here. My son always said that he would respect my wife, but she's not his mother. He's never cussed her, shouted at her or what have you. I think it's fair that we stay consistent with her not being his mom. Maybe I'm being a bad husband. Update: my wife and the kids got home about an hour ago. After we put the kids to bed, we talked. I asked her, after 5 years of never even attempting to be any sort of mother to my oldest, why she all of a sudden wanted to step into that role. She said she wasn't trying to parent him, that she was just trying to manage the household, and he wasn't cooperating. I said that wasn't a reason to react the way she did, and he was cooperating by offering to do it later. She said she was overwhelmed and needed it done then so she didn't have to think about it. I told her it's very important to me that this last summer be a good one, because I don't know when I'll see him again after this. I mentioned how I'm anxious that I won't be able to attend his big events because he might not want her there, and I can't abandon my wife to travel without her. As I was talking, really rambling more than anything, her eyes lit up. She smiled at me. I thought it was so weird, because I hadn't said anything positive and a moment ago she'd been upset. I asked what was going on. She said nothing. She then asked me if I meant that. I was confused and asked which part. She asked if I'd choose her over my son. I said I'd never choose anything over my children. She said, but if he invited you to visit him and not me, you wouldn't go. I said I couldn't do that to her, it wouldn't be right. As a husband, I can't just abandon her unless it was an emergency or something. Obviously I don't want an emergency, so you can see why I'm stressed about this possible future where I go years without seeing my son. She said she understood and it wouldn't happen again, but the whole interaction was so strange. One moment she was upset and defensive. The next moment she was kissing me and telling me I was going to have a great summer and everything would be okay. The whole thing was so odd. I asked her how the barbecue was and she said it was alright, but it would have been better if I was there, which I had no idea how to respond to. Anyway, I'm typing this in the bathroom. I don't know what to make of this situation. Half of me thinks this is a resolution and I can put it behind me, and maybe the other half is too paranoid from reading so many comments, but that half thinks this is just a symptom of a bigger problem. Either way, my wife is happy, so I'm better off than I was before, I suppose. Comments. Commenter 1, I just want to clarify, because it's maybe not so clear in the post, but you seem quite clear in some of your comments replies. Your wife doesn't currently nor has previously ever exercised any kind of parental responsibility or control over your son, for the entire duration of your relationship with her. Because the way the initial convo about cleaning is described, she sounds like she's very much approaching it from the perspective of a parental adult figure who is accustomed to and expecting respectful obedience from a child in her charge. But at the same time, the text and tone of your comment replies almost makes it sound like you're the only parental figure for him in your household, and your son and wife have a roommate-like relationship, where requests for help cleaning are not commands, but subject to discussion between the two people, as equals. If this is the case, then why would her expectations be so far off with the cleaning gym conversation? Why would she think she could ground him? Has she grounded him in the past? So which perspective on their relationship is correct? Is she his stepmother, or his roommate who happens to be married to his father? Reply, no, she's never grounded him before. I don't know why she thought she could do that. Commenter 2, I think you should really ask yourself, why wouldn't your son want her to attend life events after he moves out? Why is she happy and accepting that you wouldn't travel to see your son if she couldn't go along? And that you would choose her over your son? It sounds like there are major issues between them that you've been ignoring, intentionally or not, and this doesn't sound resolved at all to me. Commenter 3, have your son and your wife had problems before this? How was their relationship? Does your son see his mom? Reply, no big problems. He's always been respectful towards her. Their relationship is cordial. He is always quick to remind people she is his stepmother if they refer to her as his mother, but he isn't snotty about it. My son sees his mother once or twice a year. They have a good relationship that I'm not part of anymore. He won't talk about her to me, and I think she requested that. I respect their choice. Update, I talked to my son today. I asked him if something had happened between the two of them prior to the above incident. I said I wasn't looking for someone to blame, just to figure out the reason for the sudden shift. He said there was one weird incident, but he didn't know if it was related and wasn't sure how I would react to hearing about it. I asked him to tell me and promised I wouldn't have a negative reaction. Here I have to provide context I didn't think was relevant in the original post, but turns out is. I'm going to give an overview that isn't detailed because there was a lot of sexist language in the comments of the first post, and I don't want to read any racial slurs. My ex-wife and I both grew up in bilingual homes as members of a minority culture, and when we got married our plan was to eventually move to our homeland once we were more stable financially. As I grew in my career I felt less and less connected to our culture. I realized I didn't want to go anywhere. I like it in America. When my father died my ex thought it was the perfect time to leave, that we should sell the house I inherited from him and use the proceeds to fund the move. I said I didn't want to go anymore. That's why we divorced and why she moved overseas. 4 years later I met my current wife. By that time I wasn't engaging with the community I grew up with in any way other than facilitating my son's involvement with it. My wife knows my heritage, but it's never been an issue because I've essentially abandoned it. So here's what my son told me happened last week. He was sitting with my 4-year-old, my wife and I's shared biological child, and teaching him a few words of our language. My wife came into the room, saw him, called over the 4-year-old, took him by the hand and led him out of the room without a single word to my son. He said he could see the anger in her even though she didn't say anything to him. I had trouble seeing the connection between the two events, but I decided to talk to her about it. She'd been in a great mood all day since we made up last night, so I thought she'd be okay with talking. When I asked about the incident she took a long time to answer. Finally she said that she never agreed to marry a word for someone of my background, and that when she saw that she became afraid that our son, who is only 4, would grow up thinking he was a same word, because oldest son is and that's confusing for a child. I was kind of thrown to be honest. I said I understood her point, but what is the harm in him learning a few words of another language? It's doubtful he'll remember them, and if he does, that's just a sweet connection between him and his grandparents. She said absolutely not. She said our kids are American and they're going to speak English and she won't stand for my son teaching them that crap. I was really hurt by this response, but I didn't want to be a hypocrite. After all, this all started because she didn't keep our agreement not to try to parent my son. So she's entitled to expect me not to teach our kids about my background, because I explicitly told her I didn't care about that stuff anymore and wasn't a part of that community anymore. So I said okay. I said I just wish she had talked to me instead of lashing out at my son. She said she was sorry for doing that, and in the future if there was an issue like that she'd come tell me. I thanked her and she said she was glad it all got resolved. I guess I am too, but I feel a little disappointed that she feels so strongly about our son never learning about his heritage. His great-grandparents were immigrants with interesting stories, and maybe he won't ever care about that, but maybe one day he will care and want to know. I don't think that's so bad, but it isn't worth another fight. TLDR, those who said my wife lashed out because she was stressed about something else were right. We figured it out and now everything is more or less back to the way it was before. Comments. Commenter 1, she is teaching your kids, perhaps unconsciously, to be ashamed of their heritage. Not cool. You are NTA for ungrounding your son, but it is incumbent on you to root out this weird xenophobic, racist streak in your wife's parenting. Commenter 2, so you're just fine with your wife being a bigot and teaching your son to also be a bigot? Cool. Esh. Commenter 3, your wife just told you that she's racist and views your oldest son as less than because of his race heritage and you're just okay with this? OMG. But you're okay because you chose to leave your heritage behind and, of course, adopt her 2 boys and give her and them a better life. Please think about that. ETA, just read your update on your last post. Don't you realize that you've now given your wife carte blanche to sabotage any future visits with your son when he goes away to university? All she has to do is make up a reason she can't won't go and you told her you won't travel without her, basically telling her that she means more than your son. That's why she's so happy all of the sudden. Editor's note, OOP did not respond to any comments on this update. While I personally do not feel the situation is meaningfully resolved, I have marked this story as concluded, because the original question of the wife's apparently sudden change in behavior has been answered, and OOP seems satisfied with this resolution. This is my first time posting to this sub, so let me know if there's anything I missed etc. Stories number 18. My husband told me he settled for me. I was a single mom of 2 when I met my husband. My husband is 9 years older than me. I was 33 when we got married. I'm 41 now. My kids are grown and out of the house now too. My husband got drunk and revealed terrible things that I wish I just didn't know. He married me because he didn't want to die alone. He only had 2 relationships, 3 total if you include me. He's not attracted to women that look like me. He said I'm overweight and he was very underwhelmed by my appearance, but he learned to love me on the inside because even though I'm ugly on outside, I'm so beautiful on the inside and that's what makes me different from the other girls. And the way he said that to me, he made it sound so genuine, like he was saying something so sweet and romantic to me, but it's like, dude, you don't realize you just called your wife ugly. Like, wow, what? I cried so much that night. He did apologize so much since that happened, but I can't get out of my head that my husband thinks he's too good for me. He also said in no world he thought he would ever marry a single mom and basically be a cuck and be a dad to someone else's kids. But he said he didn't want to die alone and I was his only option, so he took on my baggage. I think my husband thinks he deserves better because he's not overweight and he's more financially stable than most guys. I feel like that he thinks he deserves a hot 22-year-old girl with no kids. I don't know honestly. But it does hurt me that he thinks I'm ugly and he just married me because he didn't want to die alone. I've had people tell me to get over it and everyone settles, but I have a hard time believing that every married couple settles. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, holy hell. Be prepared for the, I was drunk, I didn't mean it. And, honestly, walk. There is no coming back from this that doesn't include excuses and justifications. You've got one shot at this life. Don't spend it like this. Reply, he did apologize the next day about everything and he said that he shouldn't have said it like that. He didn't really take back anything that he said. It was more so insinuating to the fact that he just shouldn't have said it so bluntly the way he did. He says he fell in love with me for my personality and the person I am on the inside. He says it's basically like the show Love is Blind. He doesn't care anymore that I'm ugly and he grew to fall in love with me for me. Commenter 2, wow, I don't think I could get past that. Was he a good stepdad? Reply, he was a better dad than their real dad was. My kids call their stepdad their dad and they call their bio dad by his real name. Commenter 3, so go to the gym and make him pay for liposuction. Make him pay for tummy tucks. A boob lift, not implants, a lift. He might die before you, so he needs to pay for beauty spa treatments for you so you can snag another old gizzard that will kick off and leave you a condo in Florida. Does he get drunk a lot? Alcoholics have shorter lifespans, you need a life insurance policy. Reply, I really don't care to get plastic surgery and to look a certain way. I know I'm not conventionally attractive to the general population, but I don't feel like I was created just for the male gaze. I'm old, I don't care how I look anymore. I did care way too much how I looked when I was in my 20s and it was so toxic that it destroyed me and I refuse to go back to that. I'm so content with just chillin' and not worrying about how I look now. I'm 41, I'm relaxin'. Update. I had a lot of feedback from my first post and everyone asked for an update. There is an update. I spoke with my husband about this and he wants to make our marriage work. He said he doesn't care how I look like and I should be happy he's with me for me and not the way I look. It's just hard for me to get past. It's hard for me to carry on in this house with him knowing my husband thinks I'm ugly. The only reason I hesitate leaving him because I'm 41 and barely worked since I got married. I haven't worked since I was a single mom. I job hopped a lot from random low entry positions. He made me feel like I'll get nowhere in life since it's too late to start a career at my age. He laughed and asked me what will I even do. He does have a point there. I don't know what I'll do. I don't know what I want to do. I hated every job I worked and I worked a lot of different kinds of entry-level jobs from actual labor, waitressing, customer service receptionist. I know I'm gonna get hate for saying this, but I think I might be unhappier going back to the workforce, spending majority of my day at work scheduling appointments and speaking to people on the phone. Barely get paid a living wage too. I think I'm gonna choose to stay for money. Sure, if I divorce him I'll get some fats money, but it's not long-term. Even with alimony, that's not forever. Alimony just isn't the same as it was back in the day. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, honestly, and I will probably get downvoted for this. But it sounds like you both are getting something out of this marriage. He gets someone to live with and you don't have to work and you have someone who provides for you and your kids. If you are both content, then attraction and love don't really matter. I know people on Reddit like to go scorched earth if people aren't in love like it's a Disney film, but if you want to stay then do it. But I do have questions. Is your husband conventionally attractive? And as callous as this might sound, are you both in each other's league? Because if you are, then I can see why what he said in your first post would have been incredibly shocking. And he is a hypocrite. But if you aren't, did you have no idea that he didn't find you attractive before you got married? Or did he lie to you? Because if he lied, then that's where the problem is. Reply, 100% agree with you. I don't think it's a divorce-worthy thing simply because he felt like he settled for me. I know regardless people will think he is too good for me and they would think he settled for me just because I was a single mom anyways. He might have settled for me. I don't really bring much to the table. I was the ugly, broke single mom when we met and he was the wealthy older man, so from other people's eyes too they would think he was the one that settled. I guess it shouldn't matter if he felt like he did settle for me. He still loves me for me and not the way I look. I can't force someone to be attracted to me. I do know I'm not attractive. I have eyes and I have seen myself in the mirror. It just still hurts hearing it, cause it was the first time he said what everyone was thinking. And no, we're both ugly, but I still find him attractive, but I'm trying to say that he's not conventionally attractive like other women wouldn't be turned on by him physically. He kind of looks like Brian Baumgartner from The Office. He was more attractive when we met though. Commenter 2, you can gain skills at 41, you are still young. Try going back to school if you can, if you don't like it then stop, but you may love it and gain some confidence. Reply, I definitely don't want to go back to school again. I was never good at school and it was never something I enjoyed doing. I was very depressed in school. I still get nightmares about being in a classroom. Commenter 3, if I'm being honest it seems like you're both getting something, but I would start creating a life for myself outside. If you're staying for money, actually use that money to explore your interests and find true fulfillment and relationships outside of this person. Invest in you. Reply, I have explored around. I have dabbled in all sorts of different jobs. I'm going to be honest, I don't like working. The only joy I felt in life is being around my family and children and being at home watching movies and TV shows. I don't even like cooking, so I wouldn't say I love the housewife shit, lol, I'm a very lazy person. Stories number 19. Wife wants to name our twins Romeo and Juliet. My wife is a huge Shakespeare fan, and she loves the idea of naming the twins Romeo and Juliet. I'm against it, I can't get over the idea of naming our kids after a fictional couple who die. I do really like the name Juliet. I even suggested that if we go with Juliet, maybe we could name our son Tybalt after Juliet's cousin. She insists that if we use Juliet, we have to use Romeo. I'll admit Romeo and Juliet is one of the only Shakespeare plays I've read, but I've tried to look online for some other Shakespearean sibling names we could use, like Ophelia and Laertes from Hamlet or Claudio and Isabella from Much Ado About Nothing. She hasn't liked any of them because either their source isn't serious enough or the names aren't recognizable famous as Shakespearean. She's really stuck on this. On their own, I think they're lovely, but I don't think they work for twins. Is there a way I can convince her this is a bad idea, or does anyone have other Shakespearean name suggestions that might win her over? I'm not sure if I'm overthinking the meaning behind the names and being weird about it, but I can't talk with anyone about this because she wants the twins' names to be a surprise. Update. Thanks for all the comments and name suggestions. I didn't want to speak badly about my wife, but yes, I'm well aware of how deranged it is to name a pair of siblings after a fictional couple, and I was too much of a coward to bring up the incest thing in my original post. In defense of my wife, her pregnancy has been very hard on her. It's her first, and naming the kids is the only thing she's seemed happy about these days. For context, she's seen the Romeo and Juliet play in person and is an avid reader of plays in general, but she's always liked Shakespeare most because they were the ones she studied. A few years ago, she even ran a Shakespeare club for kids at the local library. More recently, she was rereading the play and suggested we name the kids after the main characters. I was taken aback and told her we'd sleep on it, but the following day, it was all she'd talk about, and she was so happy I didn't have the heart to talk her out of it. She became more and more fixated on it as the weeks went on. After making this post, I asked her again why it had to be these two names. She told me she always liked symbolic meanings and grand declarations of love, and she wanted that sort of bond to carry over to the kids in a family sense. She also mentioned that out of all the plays she'd read, Romeo and Juliet was the most iconic, that people would be able to recognize them and that it would make it easier to talk to other parents if they asked why the kids were named Romeo and Juliet. I sat on this for a few days. And honestly, it felt like I didn't know her. I pray this is her pregnancy brain talking, but this isn't her. She's always been a romantic and fixates on trends ideas, but this is just weird. Yesterday, I finally told her point blank that we were not naming our kids after such a famous couple under any circumstances, and I showed her this thread. She refused to look at it and broke down. My wife asked me why I couldn't just let her have this. Some suggested she needed to hear how crazy she was from someone who wasn't me, so I told her best friend what was happening, and she was more horrified than I was, how I probably should have reacted. Her best friend came over after work, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I know they watched the 1968 movie version of Romeo and Juliet together, which I've been told has a sex scene. I think that snapped some sense into my wife. Her friend left a few hours ago, and my wife's been quiet, but she asked if we could look over the names I'd picked out again. Thanks again for all the comments. I think we both needed reality slapped into us, her from her delusion and me from my apparent lack of common sense. She's still dead set on something Shakespeare theater related and somewhat matching, but now that her head is clearer, I hope we can pick something better. From the quick read of the comments I showed her, she did like the name Sebastian, but she's on the fence about Viola. I'll let her off the hook for now since she's so sick, but once we're back to normal life, I'm not letting her forget this happened. I'll update this again once we finally have names picked out. Comments. I'm not sure I worded it well. But she's been very sick during this whole thing, not able to eat regularly, not sleeping, horrible cramps, etc. Naming the kids was the only thing she seemed really excited about, because the actual pregnancy hasn't been good for her. We agreed that she would get the ultimate say in the names because she's carrying the kids. I didn't want to burst her bubble when she first got this idea, but as the weeks went on, I realized how serious it was. I'm not mad at her for the choice, I'm mad more at myself for not doing anything about it, and at both of us for not realizing what it could do to our kids' future. But I shouldn't have waited so long to speak with her. The last comment was that if we ever have kids again, I hope she won't want to name them after a couple again, not meant maliciously, but I see I didn't say that well either. She's been like this as long I've known her, jumping from fandom to fandom, getting immersed in something for a month and then not touching it for a year. This time has been hard on her, which is why I'm trying not to do anything that would make her uncomfortable, but if she ever needs anything, I'll be here for her. The main concern is the physical symptoms right now, but I'll keep an eye out for anything else. Thank you for this information. No one in our family knows about this name thing because she wanted to keep it a surprise. I sort of ruined that by posting, which is also why I think she also broke down when I told her we couldn't do it anymore. Now that her best friend knows, I hope she can talk about this with others if she feels like it. Her family and doctors are all local, so she's taken care of in that regard. I meant it more as I won't let her name any more babies we have after couples, but I didn't say it right. But I'm as much to blame for this happening. I agree, I let it get out of hand. I'm not going to hold this over her head, and as you said, it could be a funny story if she wants to tell it. Thank you, I'll show her this. Somebody suggests Sebastian and Juliet. One thing she really wants is for the names to be a set or related in some ways, e.g. siblings, family, two authors, etc., so I hadn't thought of the pair, but they do look nice written out. Thank you. Update 2. I wanted to write a quick final update, as it's been a few months and everything has calmed down. My wife had the babies last month, they're both healthy, and we're both exhausted. The names we ultimately chose are Sebastian Jacob and Juliet Elizabeth, inspired by Sebastian from Twelfth Night and Juliet from Romeo and Juliet, as well as Jacob and Elizabeth from the Jacobean and Elizabethan eras of theater, when Shakespeare wrote. A big thank you to the person who suggested that. My wife loved it. We had the twins at home for a few weeks before we named them. My wife was finally able to see them as our children, rather than extensions of herself to advertise her hobbies, hence the separate but still Shakespeare-themed names, which hopefully won't be too obvious. My wife's best friend will be their godmother, as a thank you for her support and reality checks throughout everything. And finally, a big thank you to everyone here for your name suggestions and advice. It helped more than you'll know. Stories number 20. AIO for losing my mind over my fiancé not helping out while I'm injured. So last Tuesday I, 23F, injured my neck and shoulder. I can't move my neck, my arm or my shoulder at all without excruciating pain. It's still causing issues a week later. I've been to the doctors and they told me all I can do is rest it, use heat packs and no lifting or strenuous exercise. I'm currently in a sling to keep it stable. So in light of this I asked my fiancé, 23M, for more help around the house. I'm usually the one doing the cleaning and tidying. The main jobs I need help with is the cat litter and laundry, as I can't bend down to clean the litter and I can't lift all the laundry. Our cat has been sick recently, so it's really important we check his litter and clean it every day to let our vet know of any issues. I've been trying to do it myself, but fiancé keeps telling me to stop and that he'd do it. The problem is that nothing has been done. He had 6 days off work, not a holiday, and promised he'd deal with the stack of household jobs that piled up. Nothing got done at all. No laundry, no cat litter, no tidying. I wasn't trying to nag at him and annoy him, so I went to do it myself and he got annoyed and told me to sit down, said that he'd handle it. But he never did. I'm sat here losing my mind, cause me trying to do these jobs has made my shoulder worse, and there's nothing to show of it, cause he stopped me doing the jobs. I think the worst part is that he keeps complaining about the lack of clean laundry as if he didn't say for a week straight that he'd get it done. I have been asking him to do these jobs, especially the cat-related ones, but there's always an excuse or, I'll do it later, but it's just lead to me doing it anyway and annoying him by doing it myself. He's at work today, so I'm gonna just get this shit done. Every time I've brought up how I'm frustrated that he keeps saying he'll do these jobs and doesn't do them, he says I'm overreacting and that he'll get it done. Am I overreacting? I'm gonna do the jobs myself today anyway and hope that my shoulder doesn't get worse. But I just want to know if I'm overreacting by losing my mind over this. Update, AIO for losing my mind over my fiancé not helping out while I'm injured. I spoke to my fiancé after he got back from work yesterday about how I've been feeling this past week since being injured. I told him I wasn't feeling very respected and that I didn't feel as if I had been given a chance to relax and heal in an environment that was filthy. It didn't go over well. Straight away he was on the defensive, saying he's not a slave, that he doesn't feel respected because I haven't been helping him with cleaning, while simultaneously saying that I can't help him clean because of my injury. I asked him why do I have to repeatedly ask for him to do one thing over and over again before it gets done. He said he just forgets. I told him that him constantly saying he'll get stuff done and then forgetting can feel manipulative. He agreed, then half an hour later denied ever agreeing. Anyways, I tried suggesting ways that he can remember to do the stuff I ask him to do, whether it's by leaving post-it notes, setting reminders on his phone, etc. He said he didn't want to do those things because he doesn't want to be treated like a baby. I told him that me constantly having to remind him over and over, me constantly telling him what he needs to do, is me babying him and him not doing it anymore. I told him he's an adult and needs to manage his own shit. If that means setting a reminder on your phone then so be it, cause I am not a fucking alarm clock, or a calendar or his damn mother. I told him if nothing changes I'm done, last chance. He did actually do some laundry, but he only did his laundry, the stuff he needed wanted. By the way there was no apologies, no plan forward, no nothing. So I think he's gonna get demoted down to boyfriend, engagement isn't a thing anymore. And I'm gonna get my ducks in a row. Thank you all for the advice yesterday. It really is the little things that break the camel's back. Update 2, AIO for losing my mind over my fiancé not helping while I'm injured. I told him what I realized about him mirroring his dad's misogynistic views. He didn't freak out or get angry, which was a pleasant surprise. He said he understood but he doesn't view me as a maid, doesn't view me as below him and doesn't thinking he is bringing those ideas home. I told him if you hear the same bullshit day after day then whether you agree with it or not eventually it'll be brought home and seep into your personal life. He may not be actively thinking him a maid but he's damn well treating me like one. He admitted that he didn't do any of the chores I asked because he was lazy and cared more that he had a day off work. I put it bluntly, he cared more about himself than me, more about his own desires than my birthday, more about his own energy than my injury. So yeah, he has been viewing himself as above me, that I'm less important than him. Apparently whenever his dad says this misogynistic crap my fiancé's view of him changes for the worst, and that negative change is what he's bringing home. But I told him that makes no sense considering he started acting and talking exactly like his dad. Anyway, the conversation last night was mainly just to make sure that things stay smooth sailing until all my ducks are in a row to leave. I have a job interview next week, and I'm planning on getting a place once I'm settled in work again. I have a few friends who I can ask to move in when I get a place to make it easier financially. I most likely won't update in a while, it'll probably be when I've got my own place and I'm settled. Thank you all for giving me such good advice, it definitely helped validate everything I was feeling. Stories number 21. Aita for telling my fiancé I won't help pay the mortgage. For some background, I, 29F and my fiancé 30M have been together for 10 years. We had a baby back in 2020 and I lost my job around the same time. Our lease to our apartment was up and my grandma offered for us to move in with her so we did. We basically had our own little apartment rent-free. I had thrown the idea of going to school out there and everyone agreed it was a good idea, my fiancé paid for it and my grandma watched my baby while I went to class. I graduate this semester, I did part-time for a couple semesters. My fiancé has been making $90K a year for the past couple years and $70K when we first moved in. He saved a good amount of money. We agreed to wait to get married until I finished school and we could buy a house together. We've been looking at houses more seriously for a past couple months and found one we both love. We started talking to a mortgage broker and that's when he dropped the bomb on it being him and only him on the mortgage and the deed. He said I wouldn't have anything to do with it. I didn't say anything in the meeting but afterwards I told him I thought we were buying the house together and I'd pay half the mortgage. He said I would be paying half the mortgage but my name just wouldn't be on it. So I told him that would mean I'd have no right to the house and he said he knew. He said since he saved the 40% down that it's only fair that he has the rights to the house in case we end things. I told him if that's what he wants to do then I'm not paying for the mortgage. I said this isn't a partnership and if he just wants his own place fine but I'm not paying for it. He called me a BTCH saying that he paid for everything for the past few years including my schooling. I told him I stayed home and watched our child so we didn't have to pay for daycare and that ended up saving us money since I would have been only able to work part-time. He said he didn't care and I need to pay for half since I already agreed to it. So Reddit Aita for refusing to pay the mortgage. ETA, originally we were supposed to move in with my grandma for a few months while we saved some money for renting a new place. I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to go to school so I'd make more money and we could potentially buy a place. My grandma said we should stay with her until I finish school so we can save up for a life together. My fiancé and I had agreed that we would be buying a house together. He paid for the schooling because we were getting married and my student loans would have been our problem, not just mine. He encouraged me to finish my education so we could give our child a better quality of life. Edit 2. For those of you saying him paying for my schooling would be more expensive than rent, my schooling in total costed $17,000. Across 5 years. That's $3,400 a year on average. Update, Aita for telling my fiancé I won't help pay the mortgage. So first thank you to everyone who commented, a lot of you had great insight and were very supportive. To those who weren't, I got to see a perspective of how my fiancé might be feeling, so thank you for that too. Although some of you were extremely misogynistic. To answer some questions, my grandma offered to give us a place to stay for a few months while I looked for a job and so we could save some money. This was the beginning of the lockdown and no one was sure what the job market would look like. I had brought up finishing my degree and my grandma offered to watch my baby while I was in class. My fiancé said he'd pay for it since we didn't have to pay for rent or daycare. He called it an investment in our future. I got a Pell Grant and a scholarship, so he ended up only having to pay, on average, $3,400 a year for the schooling. If I wasn't going to school, my grandma didn't want us staying there long term. This was purely her trying to give us a leg up and help us in our future. She wouldn't have done so if she knew what my fiancé was going to do. She said this. For the update, I told my fiancé we needed to talk about this arrangement and I asked why he changed his mind all of a sudden. He said he worked hard for his money and didn't want to lose everything if we got divorced. I said that was fair, but he's now putting me in a position to lose everything if I have zero rights to the property. He said I didn't save up the money, so the house should be his and his alone until and unless I put down 40% also. I asked if he'd consider a prenup that would give him the 40% he put down and we'd split 50-50 the rest of the equity. I said this would protect the lump sum he put down while also giving me equity I'd be paying for. He said he'd have to think about it, but he doesn't like the idea of having to sell if we split. I said then he can get his own place that he can afford on his own if he doesn't want me on the title that badly. This one he could barely afford with just his income, not sure if he'd even be approved for the mortgage on his own tbh. I also mentioned that I wanted to do couples therapy before we get married. He said no. That we didn't need therapy and I just needed to listen to him. That was the end of the conversation. I don't know who this person is. This is not the man I had a child with. The man I had a child with massaged me every night while I was pregnant, he listened attentively to every random thing I wanted to talk about, he treated me with the utmost respect, he was the only person I wanted with me while I gave birth. He used to say he could never hurt me or screw me over because it'd hurt our child. I love him so much. I don't know what happened. Update 2, Aita for telling my fiancé I won't help pay the mortgage. Thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. You've shown me I'm not alone in this and that other people have gone through the same. I also feel vindicated in my decision to not pay half the mortgage if I'm not on the deed, thank you. Anyways, tonight he and I got to talking about the arrangement again. He said he didn't want to do the prenup I mentioned in my last update. So I told him my final offer was couples therapy and getting married before we buy a house. I told him we should get a rental temporarily until we figure everything out and come to an agreement. He outright refused, again. He said he didn't want to waste money renting. He then said I'm not entitled to any of his money and he won't buy a house after we marry because I'll just win it in a divorce. I said fine, we won't get married. He asked if I was breaking up with him and I said I didn't know, but I needed space. He lost it. Called me a BTCH and a gold digger and told me I owe him $30,000. I don't know where he got this number from. He said I'm used up and no one will ever want me again. He went on ranting, yelling at me, for about 3 minutes until my grandma came over to us and told him to leave. He's staying the night at a hotel and has called me repeatedly. He's left a few angry voicemails. I feel so numb. My baby is confused and keeps asking why I'm upset and where their dad went. I hate this so much. To everyone who mentioned he might have gotten in with the mesosphere red pill content, you were right. I looked at who he subscribed to on YouTube, sure enough I saw Joe Rogan, Fresh and Fit Podcast, Just Pearly Things, and Aiden Ross. Safe to say he's fallen down the mesosphere rabbit hole. I know the man I fell in love with is gone and there's nothing I can do about it. There were definitely signs I didn't notice. He always said he was saving his money, and he was buying a house. He also said, on more than one occasion, he was the man of the house. He got really big on being a provider and protector. I didn't put it all together until now. His behavior change has been pretty recently, like the last 8 to 9 months. That's it. My life is a shit show. Writing it out has been somewhat therapeutic. Thank you all again for your support. Update 3, Aita for telling my fiancé I won't help pay the mortgage. I've had a lot of people reach out and ask for an update, so here it is. A few days after my last update he texted me and asked if we could meet to talk. I agreed and left my kid with my grandma and met him at a coffee shop. He started with an apology and went on about how that wasn't him and he's a good guy, he just drank too much and lost control. He asked me if I wanted to get married still and I said no. He asked if he could move back in so we could work on things, and I said no. He even offered to do couples therapy and I said I'd have to think about it. He got quiet and asked if I ever even loved him. I said I did, but I can't handle the whole woe is me thing he's been doing. I said I would have never tried to screw him over in the case of a divorce and that if I didn't love him I would have never had a kid with him. I said he needs to do individual therapy before I'd consider doing couples therapy with him. He got angry and yelled that I needed therapy more than he did and he refused to do it without me. He got up and said he's going to take me to court and fight for full custody and that I'd never see a dime from him. I'm assuming he meant child support. Since then he tried dropping by unannounced to take our kid. My grandma's lawyer friend, technically her friend's son, told me that since we don't have a custody agreement in place it's a free-for-all and he could legally take him across state lines. He said it can be much more difficult to get him back especially if we don't know where he is. So I didn't let him take our kid but said he's welcome to come visit but he's not leaving with him until we have a custody arrangement in place. That ended about as well as you could imagine. My grandma told me I can stay as long as I need and I got my kid signed up for daycare. That's all for now. I'm hoping we can find an arrangement without courts but we'll see. Stories number 22. I broke up with my boyfriend because he took a job as a deportation officer at ICE and I can't stop second-guessing myself. Just need to get this out because it's been sitting heavy on me and I don't really have anyone to talk to about it without it turning into an argument. My 26F boyfriend 27M recently accepted a job as a deportation officer with ICE. I broke up with him over it. It sucks. I didn't want to do it, but I also couldn't see a way around it that didn't involve me ignoring a huge part of who I am and what I believe in. When he first told me he was applying there, I had a bad feeling. I tried to keep it to myself at first because I didn't want to seem judgmental. I know the job market isn't great and that getting any federal job is a big deal. It comes with great benefits, good pay, real stability, retirement, the whole package. I get why someone would jump at that. He was excited. It felt like a big step forward for him and I didn't want to ruin that moment, but I couldn't ignore how much it bothered me. The idea of working in a role where your job is literally removing people from the country, sometimes people who've lived here most of their lives, just goes against everything I care about. I've always had strong feelings about immigration and human rights and this job felt like the exact opposite of that. We talked about it, more than once. He didn't see it the same way I did. He kept saying it's just a job or it's not like I make the laws, I just enforce them. That might be true, but to me it still felt like a line I couldn't cross. I couldn't see myself being in a relationship with someone doing that kind of work, even if they're a good person otherwise, so I ended it. And now I'm stuck wondering if I made the right call. Some of my friends think I overreacted and let politics get in the way of a good relationship. Others totally get it and say it was the right thing to do. I just feel torn. I still care about him. I know he's not a bad person. But I also know I couldn't pretend this didn't matter to me, that's it. Just needed to get it out somewhere. Thanks if you read this far. Stories number 23. My 25F boyfriend, 33M, just told me something devastating. How can I salvage this relationship? For context, me, 25F, and my boyfriend, 33M, have been dating for 6 months. I was single for about 8 months before dating him and he was single for about 6 years, so we talked for about 4 months before actually going out and dating each other. These 6 months have been great, and we communicate well with each other. We love each other's families, push each other to do new things and both share an interest in cooking and love trying new recipes together. We began spending every weekend together and I would sleep over 2 nights out of the week. Strange little hints things were off started happening about 2 weeks ago. He would reply with shorter texts to my messages. He just got a new office and would spend time over there and cancel our weekend sleepovers and I noticed a slight distance when we would call. Today he asked if he could drop by before going to his office and told me he was still not over his ex. For context, this was a girl he dated over 6 years ago and says she broke his heart. They work together, and recently he's told me that he feels for her situation because she's going through a lot. He told me that it's purely emotional, and he wants to be fair to me and tell me. He told me that he wasn't sure if we needed a break so he could figure out what to do. I told him I needed a couple days to think and collect my thoughts, then promptly went inside to cry. I truly do love him and everything about him, and I want to know if this is worth trying to salvage and get hurt, or if there is no moving on past something that stings this much. How do I go about opening up a conversation asking if he wants to move on, or if this is really done? Update. I went over to talk to him just a few minutes ago and broke it off. The conversation didn't go at all how it went in my head, but I think I got my point across. I told him if he still had to heal and get over her he would have to do it by himself, because I wasn't a second option or his safety fallback. I wished him well, but the way he was talking makes me think he will inevitably get tangled up with her again, trying not to let that bothering me. Thank you everyone for your kind words, and some harsher ones that removed the rose-colored glasses, and all the advice. I'm hurting but I can begin healing from this. Stories number 24. Aita for telling my ex's mom that I would never marry into their Orthodox family and making her cry. I am still reeling from this myself. We are Indians, and respecting our elders is drilled to us firsthand. But this feels crazy to me. X, 24M, and I, 23F, dated for a year in high school. A year. And I got good grades in entrance tests, left for a good university, moved for higher studies abroad, and I swear, I haven't seen or heard from this guy after leaving high school. Last I heard from old school friends was that he was doing a very good job in his career. I haven't been home in 2 years, so I came back to see my parents, and because of some issues I am stuck here for an extra month. Again, we grew up in different circles. My parents were never friends with my ex's mom, who since we were in middle school would hound my mother in parents-teacher conferences on how nice it must be to come to your daughter's school in AC cars and how my ex's family could never do that because they are humble people. My dad takes nobody's barbs, and after that he would loudly ask my ex's parents every time he saw if they needed to be dropped off somewhere. And I found out later that his mom used to tell my friends, if I was not there, that my parents were show-offs. Still, she was nice to me. My entire school life, both my ex and I competed to be the highest in class. We came from a pretty large town, but went to the same school for years, and I was one of his closest friends. I also happen to be the eldest daughter of a brown household with a mother who has been sick for years, and I have been picking up slack since I was 11. When I lived at home I used to handle the majority of chores, took care of my younger sister, and managed my studies. I didn't do it to get recognition, and my parents never told me to do all these. They were just constantly in and out of hospitals, but my ex's mom got it to her head that I would be the perfect daughter-in-law. Mind you, I was a kid. Her son was a kid. We were in high school. And even though we are a fairly progressive community, Bengalis, he came from a severely conservative family, where women never worked, house help was not allowed, and you can't wear anything except traditional wear. I would literally rather stab myself in the eye than have married him. And telling my ex this is what led to our breakup. Ex's mom saw me after a long time, when I was out with my mom and sister at a function. Immediately hugging me, telling me how pretty I've become, etc. I was very respectful, and made small talk, then went away. Except the next day, she calls my dad up, and sends her son's match to me. She told my dad I'm not getting any younger, her son is doing very good, and she has known for years how responsible and talented I am at household work. How this was the best opportunity for X and me. My dad passed the phone to me and told me to handle this myself. At first, I was very polite and told her I didn't see her son that way and that I lived abroad and was not going to marry for at least 5 years. She got mad at that, and told me her son liked me a lot, and I should be respectful of my elders, and that she was praising me, so I should be considerate of her proposal. I was just done, and I told her our family would not accept her son, and there was no way I was going to marry into her ultra-conservative family. I told her not to bring this up ever again and hung up. My ex calls me after years. We hadn't blocked each other because the breakup wasn't that bad. But he was so mad that apparently I made his mom cry, and how I am so high up on my own horse that I am looking down on him. I told him his mom was ridiculous, and why on earth would she ever think I'd sacrifice my happiness to be slave to his family. We got into a pretty nasty fight, and I ended up telling him to go cry on his mother's lap. I think there will be more drama after, because I know he and his mom are people who go around spreading misinformation. But my own mom thinks I was too rude. She says I could have handled it more respectfully, or made up a lie. My mom is a very soft-hearted person, and she feels I have made my ex's mom feel lesser than us. 2 of my old school friends, I don't talk to them, send me texts on how they expected better of me, and this is why they don't like me. I don't care. But the fact that my mom thinks that I was wrong is making me feel really bad. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, hey, I know culturally ingrained stuff like this is hard to navigate, but you didn't do anything wrong. You were polite until the other party refused to back down because they're so accustomed to getting their way that not getting it feels like an affront. You are not responsible for managing the feelings of someone who isn't told no often enough to have learned to accept it gracefully. That's not on you, but I'm sorry that you're struggling with feelings about it. Try to put them aside, because you really didn't do anything wrong. Edit. how much people-pleasing and not rocking the boat is ingrained in your mum. Mine is the same, though we're Italian, not Indian. But my partner is Indian and we've both learned that our family dynamics are often very similar. But we don't have to set ourselves on fire to keep other people warm. That's not healthy for anyone, and brings only the illusion of peace and harmony. Edit 2, oops, forgot. Definitely NTA. Reply, my mom was the youngest daughter of a pretty conservative family. Bullied her entire life, and hardly ever raises her voice. But she fought with her entire family to marry my dad for love. She is very soft-spoken, very kind-hearted. The idea of someone feeling bad because of her is unacceptable. I have been also called very well behaved since I was a kid, and this is one of the rare instances where my mom is not on my side. I understand that she is still very sheltered, but she's my mom, which is why I'm doubtful. Commenter 2, NTA. Tell your friends to marry him then. I'm so glad your dad let you handle it. Your mother is okay with your ex's mother saying rude things about your family and you. She's okay with you sacrificing your life to cook and clean for this family. You did the right thing. Now block them all and live your life. Reply, my mom in no way, shape or form wants me to marry. At all. She is much more career-oriented than my dad, and I have always had full support from her to do whatever I want. In this case, it was about rudeness. My mom was like, I know they are crazy, but you could have let them down more politely. What if they go around telling people we are snobs? Why did OOP date the ex in the first place? Reply, he was one of my oldest friends, and we caught feelings in 11th grade. He wasn't that horrible then, and I still believe 16-year-old me was so naive that I only saw his good parts. We broke up a month after he started talking about the future. We were 17, and I found out exactly how conservative his family was. I was terrified then, and I knew I had to break it off. Luckily, we were smart enough to only tell our closest friends. My parents never knew, and neither did his parents. They still don't know, and I thought I had closed this chapter. I don't know why he is rehashing this after so many years. Update. I booked a ticket, and I am going back home to my city in 2 weeks. I would have stayed longer, but there are too many cultural programs around this time of the year, and well, as much as I love my parents, I love my late-night walks with my friends and waking and eating whatever, which, living under your parents' roof, is not possible. Ex's mom called my mom after getting her number, from the old parents' WhatsApp group of my high school. This woman is crazy. My mom is scared she may be one of those psychotic ones. She called my mom and told her they got off on the wrong foot, and she got too excited at the prospect of me being in the family, but her son said he wouldn't marry anyone else, so please consider. My mother told her she would never ask me to marry a man who did not have the guts to talk to me myself, and got his mother to do his work for him. Yay, mom. My mom had a very stern tone towards her then. She told both my ex and his mom that since we are snobs, then these snobs are not ruining their daughter's life by forcing her to marry into such a conservative, problematic household. And yes, since they think we think of them as lower than us, they are lower than us. So they should stop bothering us because we are such awful people and they are so humble. I knew letting my ex piss of my mom was the right move because she is actually terrifying when mad. My sister and I were laughing when Ma was on call, so I didn't hear the last part. But she told me she handled it, and I should focus on my work on not let such idiots bug me again. Turns out it was my ex's idea, as I suspected, and he made his mom harass me to agree to be with him again. I still don't understand why, because my ex had made it very clear how much he hates me and everything I stand for. He said my independence would make me a horrible wife, I am selfish and can't love anyone, etc. Every time I replied, I can love, you are just not worth it, he would yell at me. Our breakup all those years ago, looking back, seems pretty funny to me. I had a trusted mutual friend deliver a sober message to my ex that I did not like him. I stopped liking him at 17 and have always considered him an annoyance at best. There was no way anything was happening. And he should apologize to his mom for embarrassing her. From what I heard back, he was told our friend he understood, and wouldn't bother me again. So there is that. As much as I like drama, I am thinking of skipping it for the next couple of visits to me parents, so I think I'll ask them to come stay with me instead. Top comments. Commenter 1, could be because the ex's family think you and your family are so high up and snob, acquiring you would have been a win. Then the ex and his family will make your life a living hell, being their slave. Commenter 2, these kind of exes are truly mad. They treat you badly when you are with them, then realize what they have lost, then come crawling back, and sometimes deploy flying monkeys. Good on you for standing ground OP, and kudos to your mom. Commenter 3, so glad to hear you have such great parents. I've known people from other cultures who had arranged marriages, and only one of them was actually happy. A good friend of mine could never get her husband to discuss how to satisfy her sexually, he absolutely refused. She's lived in a non-fulfilling marriage for almost 30 years now. Ex and his mom sound like they have a few loose screws, and I guess if your ex won't marry anyone else, he's gonna be one lonely old man in the future. Commenter 4, at least you know he has been pining after you and is miserable. Your ex and his family sound like a class act, though. Stories number 25. Husband wanted to re-gift the anniversary gift I bought to him. My 26F, husband, 31M, is very specific, so getting a gift for him was always a nightmare. We were together for almost 5 years, married for 2. Our second anniversary was few days ago. I put so much effort in his gift. He is a die-hard fan of one football club. He really loves it and buys a lot of merch. I was looking for something he doesn't have, and found a 3D puzzle set of that club's stadium. It has 200 pieces and it takes 2 to 3 hours to put it together. It was expensive AF, but I knew he will like it, so I ordered it. I even put my mom's address for delivery, in case he is at home when it arrives, so he doesn't spoil the surprise. And I was right, he was happy as a child when he saw it. He told me he will put it together with his nephew, 9M, who also loves that club. Well, the nephew came today and they were playing with it, talking about the club. Then, my husband pulled me aside and asked me if he should give it to his nephew, because he liked it. I was like WTF. I told him, do whatever you want, IDC, but he could see that I was pissed. He didn't re-gift it, but he promised the kid that he would get him the same. But the little guy didn't ask for it, he didn't even told us he likes it. After the nephew went home, I told my husband that I put so much effort in his gift when he is a literal nightmare for gifts, that I spent so much time to find him something mindful, and I'm really hurt that he even thought about re-gifting it to anyone. He got defensive, told me that he, nephew, is a child and would love to have it, and that I'm massively overreacting. He also thinks I'm emotional because of my pregnancy hormones. I'm 10 weeks pregnant with our second child. I don't think that I'm overreacting, because my feelings are really hurt and his actions are shitty. I told him he could offer to buy him another one in the first place. Am I really overreacting, or this is a shitty thing to even think about? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Nor it's a nice thought, and your husband probably had the best of intentions, but it's still rude. Surely they can build it together. That would be a good compromise. Reply. They built like half of it, then Sael came to pick a kid up. That's when he promised that he would buy him one, and Sael was pissed because it means more mess at her home. He's currently building it alone while I don't talk to him. Commenter 2. That's so ungrateful and thoughtless. I'd be pissed, but at least he asked you first instead of just gifting it. That demonstrates a bit of common sense. It might help in future to have a discussion about what gifting should be like going forward, given that he's already difficult and didn't seem to appreciate your effort even when you got it right. Does he care about gifts? It might be easier to compromise on giving him only money or food. Reply. Well, it makes a situation kinda better, but I'm still pissed. He likes gifts, but he's kinda difficult, like, he only wears X brand of clothes, only Y perfumes, Z books, etc., so the solution would be to always give him the same stuff, which I don't like. He doesn't want to take money from me, and when I ask him to try something in the store, he doesn't feel like it. He really liked this one, so I'm even more pissed that he wanted to give it away. Commenter 3. Does he want gifts? Does he expect them? I'm really hard to buy for, so my wife knows I don't expect gifts. Go make me a pie or something that I'll love. No need to put effort into buying me something that I may or may not want anyway. Reply. Well, few months ago he got a hoodie from his sis, I know he loved it and it fits him like a glove. Later, he told me not to wash it because he might re-gift it to someone else. I was like, why would you do it if you like it? Also, he is a big and tall guy, he doesn't have any friend or family member his size, like, who are you even going to gift it to? He wears it now, said he would regret it if he gave it to someone else. Update. First of all, I want to thank you for all constructive comments, it helped me get a new perspective. Also, for those guys who called me weird and childish for feeling disrespected, yeah, your comments are shitty. Now, about the update. We talked this morning calmly. I told him how hurt I was when he dismissed my feelings and blamed my pregnancy hormones for them. I explained how I feel when he does that and I feel unappreciated and that he doesn't care about my feelings, while I know he does. He apologized, and I know it was genuine. He also admitted that his comment about my hormones was rude and unnecessary. He promised that would be more considerate about my feelings. I apologized for telling him that he's a nightmare and for being passive-aggressive. He told me it's okay and he wasn't mad for that. About the gift, last night he put it together and almost got late to his night shift. He told me he really loves it and didn't actually want to re-gift it. Then he told me a bit about his upbringing. His mother often regifted things they were gifted, even those he actually liked, and he hated it. They were not poor, but her policy was, why buy someone's gift, when you can regift something you got? She gave away his stuff until he moved out. Now he feels guilty when he keeps something, even when he likes it, and he knows why is that happening. Now I remember the time when his mom stayed with us to help while I was postpartum. She was actually helpful, but she also tried to give away some of our stuff to others, and I was really pissed, like, what gives you the right to give away my shit? I grew up poor, but my parents never pulled this shit. When we liked something, we kept it. You know those fancy chocolate boxes that are passed around? Well, we ended up eating them. Meanwhile, we don't give gifts to my MIL anymore because we know she's going to re-gift them, we just give her money. I told my husband that we will go shopping for his birthday and he will choose his own gift, just to make sure it's something he likes and will actually use. Stadium is now displayed with his other football stuff. Edit, sorry for not mentioning, but he gave his nephew gifts yesterday. He bought him new shoes because he had good grades and also new shoes for his little sister, who doesn't go to school yet. He also gave him some money for his upcoming school trip. So I don't think giving him this puzzle set was necessary, at least not at the same day. Stories number 26. To fool by trying to bring my girlfriend breakfast in bed and destroying my body instead. My girlfriend and I just moved in together, and I had the brilliant idea to wake up early last weekend and make her breakfast in bed. Real wholesome shit. I made pancakes, scrambled eggs, coffee. Even warmed the plates like I saw in some Gordon Ramsay video. I was proud. I get everything onto a tray and start walking up the stairs. What I didn't realize is that our cat had left one of her little rubber mouse toys right on the third step. One of those tiny bastard ones that looks like lint until it's under your foot. I step on it. Instantly lose my footing. Tray launches. Food is airborne. I go down like a sack of wet laundry. Pancakes fly. Coffee explodes on the wall. I hit the bottom of the stairs in a twisted pile of regret and syrup. My girlfriend runs out of the bedroom like she just heard a home invasion. She finds me groaning on the floor, holding my wrist, with a pancake stuck to my back like some kind of domestic shuriken. I tell her I think I broke something. We go to the ER, X-rays confirm, fractured wrist. The nurse doesn't even react when I explain what happened. Just writes it down and moves on like she's heard this exact story before, which honestly makes it worse. Now my wrist is in a brace, my girlfriend has banned surprises of any kind, and the cat is still loose, presumably planning her next attack. 1010 would not recommend. TLDR, tried to be sweet, stepped on a cat toy, flew down the stairs, broke my wrist, and now I'm banned from being thoughtful. Stories number 27. To fool by getting a large group of people to steal from Disney. My family and I went to Disney World and did the 3-day, 3-park thing. We've never been, and this was a first large trip for a park. We started off at Animal Kingdom, and like always, Florida was hitting 90 degrees with brutal humidity. It was still 50 degrees back at home, so we were all instantly melting out there. About 20 minutes into walking the park, we saw a cart sitting in the middle of the walkway with a big tub of ice water but no worker in sight. I asked my dad how we get them, and he either joking or seriously said, "They're free with the admission, just grab 1 inch." I took that at face value and ran up and grabbed a bottle for each of us. While I was doing that, another family came up and asked how much they were. I obviously didn't know, so I just repeated what my dad said, "They're free." They started grabbing bottles too. Then a third family saw all of us helping ourselves and grabbed bottles too. One by one, people trickled in and grabbed a bottle for themselves. 30 bottles later and more people walking up, the cart attendant finally shows up and starts asking for money to the new family that joined the hydration heist. We were still standing nearby enjoying our ice-cold stolen water and quickly walked off pretending it never happened. TLDR, family and I went to Disney World and accidentally started a water bottle looting spree because my father told me they were free with admission, and I passed this info on to other innocent families. Stories number 28. To fool by not noticing signals and not getting laid when she was literally throwing herself at me. Last weekend, I, 25M, ended up going out with an older coworker, 34F, to a bar. We were chatting it up, everything was great. She was nice enough to let me crash at her place instead of driving home, which I thought was super sweet. We get to her house. I asked if I just make a bed on the floor or on the couch. She said no, that I would sleep with her in the bed. I thought, oh okay, sure. Not gonna argue, it's her house. As I go inside her room, I check my phone for 1 singular second, and now she's changed from her work clothes to pajamas, shirt and shorts, nothing crazy. Asked if I needed to give her the room, she said nah, it's fine, so I figured she's just super comfortable around me. We then sit on her bed, drinking and smoking a lil, then she puts on a movie on her phone and we were listening to it, then we went to bed. No big deal, right? Then the next morning everything seemed fine. I drove her to work and we also grabbed McDonald's, wished her a good shift, then drove home and changed and went back to work. Fast forward to tonight, I tell a confidant of mine at work about the ordeal. They flipped the fuck out when I said no after they asked if we had sex. She said she put all the signals in my lap and yet I still didn't read the room. The more I thought about it, the more now fucking embarrassed that I am that I was so oblivious to all the signs. I'm now balled up in a corner about to get higher than giraffe pussy so I can try to forget this whole embarrassing ordeal. I'm now literally at the mercy of when I see her again, God only knows when due to the schedule being iffy. I don't have any of her socials, no phone number, nothing. I could literally die right now. TLDR, I ended up going home with a coworker and didn't read any of her advances of trying to fuck and now I'ma die of embarrassment. Update. Hi guys. A while back I, 25M, posted about how I took this girl from work, 34F, to the bar with me and she invited me back to her house and both slept in her bed, but didn't end in sex because I couldn't read the signals she was putting out there. This is an update. So about a week afterwards, I finally asked her if I missed something she was putting out there. She said, no, I just didn't feel like figuring out an alternative sleeping arrangement, and left it at that. Figured, okay, that's fine, the woman and I both are very weird, I'm pretty sure I'm undiagnosed autistic personally, so I left the subject alone going forward. Fast forward to last weekend, she texts me asking if I want to go to the bar again. I say yes, she even asked me to pick her up this time from her house. Made jokes to myself like, the gods are giving me another chance, but really, I was just excited about drinking. Got to her house, she said I can wait in her room while she showered, then came in only wearing a bra and pants, told me to turn around and changed in the same room as me again. After she got ready, we went out, had a great time at the bar, even closed down the bar this time, then stayed the night at her house. She then had the idea of, let's play dirty charades till 6 a.m., and we did, had a blast, didn't advance on her or get naked or anything dirty, keep in mind. Then we laid down in bed and went to sleep again. I think I maybe laid my arm on her while we were both asleep, but it got shrugged off after a while. Then we woke up at about 2 p.m., she walked me out, said it was fun and we gotta do it again, then that she'd see me at work and close the door. I deck what I'm doing ATP, this is the second time we slept together but didn't sleep together. My friends tell me that she's lying about her motives and I should have made the jump and kissed her, but that's honestly a scary fucking jump to make, and what if I'm wrong about all this and she decides to punch me in the face and accuse me of some heinous shit if I take that chance? I think I'm just gonna give up NGL. I'm not an initiator. I've never been an initiator. All of my actions regarding dating and sex and going out have only been because women would approach me and I'd just do whatever they want me to do. Ick. This shit is so confusing. I wish I can just ask her if she was trying to get Wiener down and her give me a direct yes or no instead of throwing all these signs and then saying things differently. Or I'm wrong about it all once again. TLDR, slept in the same bed as my coworker twice now and neither of which ended in sex because I'm too scared to make a move or too stupid to see the signs. Update 2. Hi guys, long time no see. For those of you new to this, moral of the story is that I, 25M, began working at this new job and I was going out to the bar with this girl, 34F, I worked with and I slept in our bed 2 times without having sex. Then everybody I know was telling me that I missed all the signals that she was supposedly trying to jump my bones. For those of you who have waited, this is the final update. We went to the bar tonight, this is the last time her and I are gonna be hanging out for a minute because she got fired from the job we both worked at, not for anything relating to this BTW, but her and I went out tonight to the same bar, got to talk about it, had a good time all around. Unfortunately, for some of y'all who keep suggesting that I just go for the kiss and ask questions later, it did not work out like that. I firmly believe that that's not the move for someone like me to make, so I'm gonna continue doing what I feel comfortable doing. So I asked her straight up for the last time, be honest, if she was just sharing a bed so that I don't drive home drunk, or if she was trying to sleep with me. She did confirm, and in great detail, she's not in any way sexually attracted to me, but she does enjoy the shit out of my company and feels comfortable around me. She doesn't think I'm gay, she knows I wasn't trying to make her uncomfortable, we both just wanted to clear the air. So it's said and done. I'm sorry if this isn't the ending y'all wanted, but it just didn't work out that way. Here's the thing, I'm cool with it either way. I enjoy her company, I also enjoy her bed because it's comfy. Would sex have been a really nice bonus? Absolutely. Was it necessary or mandatory? No. I don't regret this in any way. She did beg for my number so that we can stay in touch and keep going out to drink, so at least we're good friends. I'm cool with it, truly. TLDR, I slept in the same bed with my coworker twice and lived in a bubble of confusion until she finally confirmed she's not trying to sleep with me. Stories number 29. Aita for losing weight for my friend's wedding. Although I'm already that skinny friend, I, F28, recently lost a fair bit of weight, and now my friend, F30, is saying I'm trying to upstage her at her wedding. My best friend Emily got engaged at the end of last year and asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was super happy and of course said yes. In the past 3 years I have put on some weight, about 2 dress sizes. It didn't really bother me until recently, so I decided to use the wedding as an excuse to lose some weight. I just find it easier to do if I have a goal and end date. This past weekend we were bridesmaid dress shopping and Emily was acting kind of weird towards me, giving me funny looks and talking over me. The 2 other bridesmaids, one I'm friends with, the other I don't know very well, didn't seem to notice, so I brushed it off thinking she was just stressed. Me and Emily live really close to each other, so usually after something like this we would hang out for the day at one of our houses. At the end of the appointment I asked her whose house she wanted to go to and she scoffed and told me she was going home. I asked what was wrong, and this is when she went off on me. I don't remember word for word what she said because I was so confused and shocked. But these are the bits I remember. She basically said it was clear I was trying to lose weight to upstage her for her wedding, that I was already the skinny friend, and now I'm just trying to make it all about me, especially as I never cleared my weight loss with her. She said I clearly knew what I was doing was wrong because I was still wearing oversized clothes to disguise my weight loss. I just haven't updated my wardrobe and prefer to be comfortable over wearing tight-fitting stuff. I don't consider myself skinny, but I am the smallest out of the 4 of us. I also didn't think about how changing my appearance would affect her vision for her wedding. I've never been a bridesmaid before, so I don't know if that was something I should have considered. So I don't think I'm the AH for losing the weight, unless I am. But AITH for not telling her I was going to lose weight. Edit. Guys, I now know it's lose. I'm sorry for my dyslexia. I would go and edit all of them out but one. I have been told there are many. I'm too lazy for that, and 2. I now think it's hilarious how annoying you all seem to find it. Update. First off, thanks for all the support as well as all the spelling lessons. They have cheered me up a lot. Not sure if anyone wanted an update, but you're getting one anyway. I called my friend as I'm currently away for work, so couldn't meet face to face. Spoiler, it did not go well. I started by telling her it was not my intent to make her feel any kind of way and tried to explain I had already been on my weight loss journey before she got engaged. I asked her if she really thought that I would be vindictive enough to try and upstage her at her wedding. Apparently this was the wrong thing to say. She started ranting about how I think I'm better than her, how whenever we go out together no one ever looks at her, only at me. I don't think this is true, as she is very pretty and I'm pretty average looking. Here's where it gets bonkers bananas. She told me that her ex-boyfriend, who recently got married, is going to be at the wedding, and for a while he was thinking of leaving his, at the time, fiancé to ask me out, but my friend convinced him not to. I had no idea any of this went on and would have been appalled because 1. That's just weird, and 2. He's my best friend's ex and I'm now pretty sure she's still in love with him. I have been uninvited from the wedding. Unless I put the weight back on, then I can come, but not as a bridesmaid. Safe to say I now have a new motivation to keep the weight off and shall not be attending any weddings in the near future. She's always had a temper and has flipped out at me over random stuff before, but nothing ever this insane. I guess I'm going to have to get better at identifying red flags. Stories number 30. My life has been wrecked and I am thinking of starting over. I have a paid-off house. Do I GTFO? I am 27. My, now, ex-girlfriend's family was deported after 20+ years in this country, leaving her with a bunch of underage children who she now has to take to Mexico, including herself. Miami is too hard for them to live in without family because the rent is too high. I got laid off by Doge working as a software engineer after our initial contract renewal. They modified it and terminated 82% of our contracting company that has been there since 1998. I am honestly pretty sick and tired of everything happening. The job is the least of my concerns. This country feels morally bankrupt. Half the responses I get are, "So what, did you get deported? Stop worrying about other people," from friends my age. I think the people in this country have suffered so much systematic abuse that they are incredibly broken. Maybe that's just an emotional reaction. It feels like the government in this country has taken a wrecking ball to mine and many others' lives. My house is paid off and is worth a little over $600K. It also rents out for $3,400. I'm an EU citizen who came here when I was 7. I'm thinking it's time to call it quits and move to Spain. I have an interview for more than I've ever made around the corner and I haven't been able to find a drop of motivation to study. I don't want to be here anymore. Edit. Thank you guys so much. I have been sleeping in the same clothes since everything happened. My house is a mess. I haven't been able to process. Stories number 31. My 28F fiancé 29M wants me to put his family before mine even at the expense of my family's health. I-28F is engaged to her partner of 7 years Rob 29M. Both sides of families are happy for them. Early 2023, OOP's sister, Kim, 32F, had an eye infection that turned into an ulcer. Unfortunately, Kim had to have her emergency surgery right away on her eye, and it happened to be on the day OOP was supposed to attend a family dinner with Rob's brother. OOP texted Rob to inform she was going to be with Kim as Kim's wife was unavailable at work and OOP's mother and stepdad were away. Rob reminded her about the family dinner as she was expected to be there, no excuses. Due to the circumstances with Kim's eye, she had to be transported to a different hospital in order to get the emergency surgery done, which was in the evening. OOP knew she was not able to make it to Rob's family dinner. She texted Rob to let him know and he got angry. Rob told OOP to leave Kim at the hospital and have Kim's wife there to pick her up afterwards. Kim's wife was still not unavailable and could not have her phone on for OOP to reach her. OOP sent a text message to Rob's mother to let her know what was going on. Rob's mother was very supportive and has advised OOP to stay with Kim. Rob's brother was very understandable once OOP told him. Kim's operation was successful. For days, Rob was very short with OOP and had a huge fight over OOP's priorities. He told OOP that she should have put his family meal first before Kim's health. I managed to get things sorted out with Rob. Or so she thought. Rob's family had another family dinner few weeks later which Rob's brother was there and OOP was able to attend this time. The family asked OOP on her sister's eye progress. After getting home from dinner, Rob got really angry once again and told OOP she should not have brought up Kim's health to his family. He told OOP she needs to put him and his family first before her own sister or things wouldn't work out. He said once OOP and Rob are married, she should get used to the fact that Rob's family comes first. OOP then packed a bag and left to her mother's house with Rob bombarding her mobile with calls and texts. Editor's note, OOP added an update to the original post. I decided to end things with Rob. She had to work on getting Rob out of her house because she's the rightful owner as it was her grandma's house previously. OOP made phone calls regarding evicting Rob. She is in UK where they have Section 8 notice which basically is a 14-day eviction notice. It was the quickest way to get Rob out. OOP made the decision to meet with Rob in a pub on a Friday where OOP's stepdad and his work friends attend regularly. OOP got straight to the point with Rob. It was all over. OOP said she cannot be with someone who didn't give her any support, especially dealing with her sister's health. Rob was upset because OOP chose to end the relationship. OOP gave Rob the eviction notice and her engagement ring. Rob had a few weeks to find another place because she needed her house back. OOP was able to spend time with her stepdad and waited until Rob left. It was the safest way so Rob can't approach her when her stepdad is around. Back home, Rob sent OOP a message he was going to contest the eviction notice and noted that he and OOP are not over yet. Rob then told OOP he would move out if she paid him £10,000, which he knew she doesn't have any laying around. It was because he paid for half of the electric, gas, Wi-Fi, and Sky package, sport channels. OOP was very irritated about this, so she called Sandra, Rob's mother, to talk some sense into Rob. Sandra was appalled by what OOP told her. She asked to speak with OOP in person at OOP's house while Rob was away until late. OOP and Kim met with Sandra to figure things on getting Rob out of OOP's house. Sandra planned to have Rob's brother present and make sure Rob doesn't take anything that isn't his from the house. Sandra now has Rob staying with her. OOP took the proper channels on changing codes and locks on her house. Cameras are being installed around the house. Sandra asked to talk with OOP as there were things OOP needed to know about. Turned out Rob was having similar behaviors that his father had during his marriage to Sandra. She left Rob's father when he was 10. The reason was because Rob's father punched Rob's brother in the face when he was 14. Sandra originally thought OOP knew Rob's father wasn't in the picture for years now after she left. Sandra then found out Rob was back in contact with his father for the past year. Rob's father had been putting bad thoughts in Rob's head about having the control of his relationship with OOP. That was the cause of Rob's demands of OOP putting his family first before her own. When Sandra found out the truth, she kicked Rob out of her house. Rob's brother was angry too. Sandra and Rob's brother have confirmed Rob isn't invited to their house for Christmas if Rob spends time with his father. Rob then went to stay with his father, only to find out his father didn't want him to live with him either. OOP now has blocked Rob on everything and would call the cops if he turned up at her house. For telling my ex that it's not my fault that he's homeless. OOP hadn't heard from Rob in weeks until he showed up at her house. Rob told OOP he had nowhere to live at because his parents won't house him. He begged OOP to take him back and let him live with her. OOP said no and asked him to leave or she would call the police. She had cameras all over her house and caught his behaviors. Rob went to OOP's and his mutual friends, begging for a place to crash at. Sandra found out about what Rob was doing and OOP told her what happened at her house. Sandra informed OOP she was selling her house and moving away to be near Rob's brother. Rob had been couch surfing at his friends' houses, but they kicked him out because it was almost Christmas time and the friends wanted to enjoy their time with their friends instead of having to listen to Rob crying. OOP added an edit to this post, regarding meeting up with the wife of one of Rob's friends the next day to share something with OOP. Update: OOP met up with the wife of one of Rob's friends, Nat, 30 and her husband Rob's friend, Zach, 29M. Nat explained to OOP about Rob. He called Zach to ask if he could crash at their house for a few days. Zach cleared it with Nat. All Rob had to do was follow Zach and Nat's house rules because Rob could not move in a flat until January. One rule was no bringing women to the house and had to be quiet at nighttime because Zach and Nat have their daughter, 6. It did not last. The next night, Rob went to a pub and woke Zach and Nat up by arguing with a woman back at the house. Zach and Nat had to separate Rob and the woman and Nat sent the woman home. Rob made offensive statements toward Nat that resulted in Zach pinning Rob onto the wall. Rob had to sleep off the alcohol he drank that night. Nat demanded that Zach kick Rob out of their house. Zach decided to meet up with Rob to find out what the heck was going on in his head. Turned out Rob lied to Sandra about his contact with his father. It was longer than what Sandra told OOP. Rob had been in touch with his father for over 2 years instead of a year. Rob's father believes a woman's place is in the kitchen and bedroom, and a man's place is to rule the house and control his wife on what she has to do for him. Rob believes that his life should be the way his father told him. After the conversation, Zach and Nat decided to go NC with Rob because they don't want him around their daughter. OOP thanked Zach and Nat for sharing the situation regarding Rob. OOP has taken the steps further to keep her social media private so Rob won't be able to find her online. For anyone that's still around, OOP shared she is okay. She received a phone call from one of Rob's friends, informing her Rob was going to spend Christmas in prison. It was discovered that on Saturday night, Rob got in a physical fight with his father. His father fell backwards and hitting his head. An ambulance and police were called. Rob left before the police could stop him. Rob's father is pressing charges for the physical assault. Rob got arrested the next morning at the B&B he had been staying at. He had to appear before the magistrate court the following business day, Monday. Because Rob didn't have a permanent address to go to, he had to stay in prison until his trial at Crown Court. Sandra is now over 250 miles away from where Rob was and won't be helping him at all. Once OOP found out what happened, she had a good sense of peace now. Another mini update. OOP drops by Zach and Nat's place to spend time with the family. Zach and Nat have filled OOP in on what to expect regarding Rob's case. He would be spending Christmas in prison and likely to get out in the following January. OOP explains what charges Rob is facing at this point. His lawyer was working on getting charges reduced from Section 18 with intent to Section 20. Section 18 with intent is one step down from attempted murder and he is looking at double digits in prison if he is found guilty. Section 20 is less severe and is usually a 2-year suspended sentence for first-time offenders, which Rob is. He is not allowed to get in touch with OOP without her consent. OOP does not plan to have phone calls with Rob. Sandra and Rob's brother have refused to talk with him any further. Rob's father is still hospitalized with a broken hip and had to have surgery. Final update. OOP shared an update on Rob as there were some things that came up. He spent Christmas in prison, but did not get out until the second week of January because Sandra agreed to let him stay with her again. Rob has his hearing in February of which he agreed to plead guilty to Section 20 then wait to get his sentencing court date. OOP did not know how much is going into the sentencing as the court needed to collect several major statements like victim impact statement, reports from probation, family statements. Rob used his breakup with OOP as the circumstance, causing him to lose everything and impacting his mental health. Sandra's and Rob's brother's statements have confirmed Rob had lived in an abusive home and he believes he had PTSD. Rob was going to serve 3 years, but the judge gave him 16-month sentence which is suspended for 18 months. He is not allowed to be around his father and have to do counseling and no alcohol. Rob was given an ankle monitor to monitor his sweats for alcohol. Rob has moved to a flat housed by probation and away from OOP. As for OOP, she has been visiting with her sister and her wife. Still working at the same place. Her sister, Kim, is doing okay besides her eye situation. Had a setback, but doing better. Rumors. Hi all, I really hoped I wouldn't have to come back, but I've had several DMs on this account saying that a TikTok video is claiming that I'm back with my ex. I don't have TikTok so I haven't seen it, but that's 100% not true. I haven't seen or spoken to him since my last update. As far as I'm aware he's still living in the city half an hour away and is doing okay. I'm not really interested to be honest. Rob's mom has accepted an offer on her house and has moved in with his brother until she can finalize the purchase of her house and find a flat she likes. Everyone else is doing well, my sister the same and her eye is still healing. She's got some new glasses and says her vision is now nearly back to normal so that's good. My sister and 7 other family and friends went out to Germany for England's first game which was a lot of fun.